We're here to learn something from Dr. Trivedi. So if you can silence your cell phone, if you need a bathroom, it's about a mile down there, but you go that way and keep on going and follow the signs and you'll finally come to it. Let's see. So for those that don't know, I'm Pat Jensen. Before I met Dr. Trivedi, I was shy. I didn't really, Shirlene can attest. I was working hard day to day. I was just one day at a time, kind of getting by. I was driven by guilt and fear, and I was living a life of quiet desperation. But since I met Dr. Trivedi and I've realized my identity, and I know what I want in my life. I know who I am and what I stand for. I've begun to value myself. My business has grown exponentially. I've lost a bit of weight, 20 plus pounds. And my family, discussions in my family are far, far different. We work out our problems far differently than we did before. Lula, I'm going to let you introduce yourself too.
Okay, guys, I am Lula Grace. I'm 82 years old and I can still move. Now, my longevity, I started longevity a long time ago, been completely disabled, but this gentleman, Dr. Trivedi, has brought me back into my values and I am walking my mission. I'm an energy worker. I can do service. I'm happy about it. I wake up in the mornings full of energy. You can see I've got energy. And so my hope for all of you is that all of you can connect to this gentleman tonight. Listen with your eyes, your mouth, your ears, and open up your hearts. Because if you open up your hearts, you will find an amazing message for all of you. Thank you for coming.
So Dr. Trivedi is a human performance doctor and the author of a book, Chasing Success. His clients include FDIC, Berkshire Hathaway, WNBA, professional golfers, Olympic tennis players, corporate executives, and many more, as he helps to transform their health, their wealth, and performance. During COVID, he was in front of 100 million people, helping to rewire their stress through the crisis. Dr. Trivedi has helped over 500,000 people in 70 countries in the last 23 years. He's been featured in Shape Magazine, Global News, Entrepreneur, and featured on Amazon Prime. Please, please give a warm, warm welcome to Mr. Alok Trivedi.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's give it up for these people putting this thing together, right? Let's give it up. All the effort that it takes to make this thing happen. Well, look, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for joining me. Who's come the farthest distance? I heard today that there were people driving like 5, 6, 7 hours to get here. Who's driven more? How far did you drive? 5 hours. From Oklahoma. Wow, who told you to come from Oklahoma? Fantastic. Let's give it up, Oklahoma. Anyone got Oklahoma beat? Who traveled more than 2 hours? Nicole, great to see you. Ollie, well, let me just say this. If you traveled more than 2 hours, more than 2 minutes, I sincerely want to thank you for being here. I know, like, when I drove in today, like you guys all heard this bio, this introduction. It's great. My mom wrote it for me. It was really nice. And really, you start believing some of this stuff after a while. But it doesn't, there's not a single moment where I get an opportunity to get up and speak and share my message of love, wisdom, healing, that I don't take everyone's effort to be here without a single moment of love. So I want to thank you all for really being here. Like there's some familiar faces I see here who've been here before, been in different programs of mine. I just want to say thank you. I really, really do appreciate you guys being here with me today. So thank you for that. For those of you who are online watching as well, this is also hybrid. So we've got people all over, I don't know, the world, I guess, or at least the US who are watching as well. Thank you guys for joining us today as well. So this is a small group. We can talk about whatever you want to. I have notes. I've got notes and I've got everything. Everyone says, okay, doc, just listen to Dr. T and do what he says to do. But look, I can tell you what to do, but the reality is that most people want to do what they want to do. Wouldn't you agree with that statement? Right? Most people do want to do what they want to do. And the thing is that I can sit here and preach till the cows come home of what it's going to take for you to live healthy and the things you're supposed to do. And you're going to go home and you're going to sit and say, well, that seems a little bit hard. We'll try a couple. But the rest are tough. So I don't want to do that. So we'll do a couple and that'll be enough. Okay, great. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But I wanted to make this night more of an interactive conversation, if that's okay with you. I wanted to make it much more of an interactive conversation because I'm here to provide value and service to you and help you get to where you want to go, whether it be in your health, whether it be in your wealth, whether it be in the journey of wherever you want to go. But I can tell you one thing for certain. And one thing is for certain is that we in America are very, very, very convoluted when it comes to health. We're very convoluted when it comes to health, right? If we look at the statistics, I was just doing some research upstairs, and I'll read it to you guys before I came down, so that I want to know exactly where we are. Our current state of health, like just think about this: 31% of the population currently has some sort of anxiety disorder. 31% has anxiety disorder. That's a lot. That's a lot of people, right? We have about 300 million people, so that's what? Say 50-ish million, something like that, right? I'm not doing the math exactly, but 31%. 46% have some sort of a mental health disorder today. 46% have a mental health disorder. That's a lot of people that have been classified as a mental health disorder. How many entrepreneurs do I have in the room, just out of curiosity? Small business owners, entrepreneurs, great. Yeah, congratulations, great job. You have honored yourself to the journey of more mental health than everyone else. 72% of entrepreneurs deal with mental health disorders. But what do we call it? We don't call it mental health disorder. We say we got to grind it out. We got to make it, right? That's part of being an entrepreneur. Suck it up, baby. That's what we do. Meanwhile, we go through the highs and lows, the depressions, the anxieties, the stress, but we don't call it that. As an entrepreneur, we say, well, this is what entrepreneur, and we almost wear this badge of honor for that, don't we? Like, look at me. The more I struggle, the better I do. It's kind of backwards if you think about it. That's what we do as entrepreneurs. But that's the mental health side. That's the mental health side. And I'm going to make some bold statements today. Some of you I'm going to get under your skin, and that's okay. That's okay. This country currently, our country, $130 million people have diabetes or prediabetes. 130 million people have diabetes or prediabetes. That is insane. That is insane. And now some of this literature coming out there and saying, you know what, we found that it's in lower education or lower impoverished communities more than higher education. Still, I don't care, it's still people. 130 million people. That's a lot of people that have that. Now, if we look at that 130 million people, do those people seem to change in their habits? No. I've done so much work in the idea of behavioral health and weight loss in the weight loss industry and that. And what we found is this, is people want to lose weight. How many people in this room want to lose some weight? Come on, only 4 of you. The rest of you are lying to me. That's what it is. If I have to come down here to get the real truth, how many people really want to lose weight? Let's put up your hands. Okay, of course you do, right? That's the reality of it. Everyone says they want to lose weight, but I'm going to challenge you tonight to say, you know what? Let's stop losing weight and let's start getting healthy. Because a healthy body doesn't need to hold fat. A healthy excessive fat. It needs fat. Our body needs fat, but not excessive fat. Most of us have this delusion about this idea of what our body's supposed to look like. So we eat very little. And most people start these, I'm going to say some things again, I'm going to get under your skin. These programs, these diet, these things that are all processed foods that are causing with made of soy and lectin and all the stuff that's breaking your body down. And then we cause cortisol responses, which increases the stress on the system. And the body says, why is it not working? Why is it not working? Because what we're doing is not working. The way we're thinking about this is completely wrong. I'm going to make a bold statement here. And I'm going to state this, that there is no such thing as mental health disorders. That's a bold statement. I get it. Because over the last 5 years, mental health has become a big thing, hasn't it? Of course it has. Some of you didn't like it. She didn't like it. I made that statement. She's like, no, I don't know about the statement. Watch, here's my defense. 94% of the serotonin, which is the feel-good hormone, is made in your stomach. 94% of the serotonin is made in your stomach. So if we're eating like shit and garbage, and we're putting that crap in our stomach, and there's a nerve that travels from there all the way up the brain called the vagus nerve, and it's connecting the two, and we eat like crap, then we're going to have depression, anxiety disorders in the brain, but we're calling it a mental health disorder so that we can then go along and classify it as a disease, a label, a prescription, a medication that we can now put someone on to then blind them of the reality of their health. Does that make sense? That's why I'm making that statement. I'm not saying people don't have anxiety. I'm not saying people don't have stress. I'm not saying people don't deal with those things, but we can't classify it as a mental health thing separately. It's not separate. Because how do you live if I separate your brain from your body? You don't. It's such a stupid question. You don't. You die. It's simple. You die. So if we look at this and we say mental health is here, but physical health is here, but what we eat only affects here? No, it affects here and here. But here's the interesting thing, is that in my years of work as, I started my practice many years ago, and I've been studying the mind-body connection coming up on almost 30 years. Now, I know you guys say I probably started this when I was 7, but I was a little bit older, okay? But I've been studying this for a long time, and here's what the reality is that I've figured out from my experience in research and work is that how does someone think, and does it affect their body? Let me ask you a question. Are you married, ma'am? Not anymore. At some point you were. Fantastic. What's your name? Jackie. Let's give it up for Jackie. Right? You're like, shit, I sat in the back because I wasn't going to get picked on. You didn't expect me to get off the stage, did you? You're like, this is a stage. He's going to stay right there. No, that's exactly what he doesn't do. So, Jackie, you were married at one point in time. And so at some point in time, there was some arguments and challenges in that relationship, which made you say, hey, look, we shouldn't be together anymore. Right? Kind of, at some point. Right? Anyone in this room been married and not had an argument? Then you haven't been married. That's a bullshit lie. I know that for a fact. In that time, let me ask you a question. When you had an argument with your husband, wife, spouse, whatever, how did you sleep? Not very good. You don't have to answer this, but anyone ever had an argument with their spouse and all of a sudden their digestive system stopped moving? Uh-huh. Interesting. But then we say, you know what? You have a problem. You have irritable bowel disease. You have a problem with irritable bowel disease. And not that you do. I don't know that. I don't know you've met. I just met you. I'm not trying to, we just met. Hi, I'm Dr. T. Great to meet you. Okay. So I don't mean to be labeling you that way, but people walk around saying I have irritable bowel disease, but they live with this constant state of stress and this constant level of pressure in their body. And when you get these arguments, you don't sleep. Your body functions overtime. It releases this hormone that many of you women don't like called cortisol. You guys remember cortisol? Oh, that's the stuff that kind of dangles on the bottom of your arms. You're like, I hate that crap. I hate that crap. But why does that crap show up? Stress. So I'm going to go ahead and make a statement that I'm going to sit and say the number one cause of death in this country is not heart disease. It's not cancer. It's stress. It's stress. And stress is not, oh my God, this is bad. This is the worst thing that happened. And this is stress. Now I can't deal with this. Stress is, by one definition, if you're taking notes, you want to write this down, the inability to adapt to a changing environment. That's it. That's all stress is. That's all stress is. I'll give you a case in point. Again, I'll press some nerves. COVID. Woo! Is that a fair word to say here? Or am I going to get shot by using that word around here? Like, yeah, the C word, right? It's the C word. So COVID came along and everyone got stressed and frustrated. They had to be at home. You know, they had to hang out with their spouse and their families. That's where the stress went up. They're like, oh my God, I got to see this woman. I got to see this man. I got to take care of these kids. Oh my God, I didn't know this was what I bargained for. But COVID came along and everyone basically said to themselves that, you know what, I'm stuck. I got to now deal with these people, or I can't go out. I can't do what I want to. What happened in COVID? You traveled. I did too. Like, I was all over the place. I was nonstop. Everyone's like, oh, you shouldn't travel, Dr. T. What about COVID? I said, I have an immune system. Thank you very much. I have an immune system. I take care of this bad boy a lot. I'm good. Now, I'm not taking away from those that did suffer from COVID or not. I'm not taking away from that, right? So by no means am I saying that. And I'm not here to preach vaccine or anti-vaccine. That is not my place nor my position. All I'm saying is that mentally what happened to people? They lost their position because they were addicted to the idea of being able to do whatever they want whenever they want. Freedom was the thing that stopped people and caused more chaos in people's lives. Because what happens is that in our brain, we have these neurotransmitters and all the stuff we're going to get into in just a little bit. We're going to get very geeky and sciencey, and you guys are going to be like, I don't know what he's talking about, and that's okay. Some of you are going to be like, I'm super excited about it. But in our brains, everything that goes on here affects everything here. There's not a single thought that you're thinking that does not translate itself into the physiologic system. Not a single one. So if you're sitting there thinking, I kind of like this guy. This guy's really good. He's kind of funny. And he doesn't talk like an Indian accent. Fantastic. That released a neurochemical inside of your system. And for those that got, I'm under your skin already, that's already releasing a neurochemical in your system. Both of those are affecting the way you're processing this information. Every single one of us. Every single one of us, this is happening constantly. And so we look at this and we say, how does this happen? You ever been under a whole ton of stress and your back goes out? You're like so stressed out and your back goes out. You're like, I don't know what happened, doc. I don't know what happened. So I started my career. I used to be a physical therapist, and then I became a chiropractor, and then I built a large practice in chiropractic. And I started seeing patterns. Anyone in healthcare here? Who's in healthcare here? A couple people? Great. So as doctors, physicians, whatever it is, what we do is we see patterns in people, right? We see patterns and then we make assessments based on patterns. And I found that there was a certain pattern in this one patient. I look at his chart in the third of the month. Every time he comes in, it was the third of the month. I said, why is this guy coming in on the third of the month? I don't get it. The third of the month, every time he shows up, it's the third of the month. And I said, what's going on with you? Every month on the third of the month. I said, I don't know, doc. I have no idea. I just know that, shit, my back hurts. Every time on the third, my back hurts. Why? He says, I don't know. I have no idea. I said, when did it start? And he said, last night. I said, just before it started, what was going on? He goes, I was talking to her. Talking to her. And I said, who's her? The girlfriend or the wife? Some of you got it. Some of you got it. He said, the wife, of course. I said, what were you talking about? He said, we were talking about the same thing every month, doc. Talking about the mortgage. How are we going to pay the mortgage? It's due on the 5th of the month, and we don't have money in the bank account. Every time I look, just spending money, spending. I go out and I work my tail off. I work as a carpenter. I'm working, and I come home, and she spends it. It's the same story every month, doc. It's interesting. This is an interesting correlation. And I said, here's what we're going to do today. I said, I'm not going to touch your spine. I'm not going to do anything to your body. I said, but doc, that's what I'm paying you for. I said, then don't pay me. I said, but I'm going to ask you a couple questions. I'm going to ask you to think a little bit differently, and I want to see what happens. And he says, okay. Fine, whatever. I said, but you can't take Advil, can't take ibuprofen, can't take any of that stuff. You just got to do what I tell you to do. Will you test it with me? And he says, yeah. He goes, I'll test it. And literally, he went home that night. He came back the next day, and his pain was 70% better. Now, this was coming up on 20 years ago. I said, that's interesting. Now, if you're in healthcare, you do these miracle things. You're like, shit, what did I just do? Right? Let's be real, docs, right? It's like, we don't all walk around thinking like, we've got it all figured out. I'm like, what the hell did I do? So then I had to go dig further, and I had to go research further, and then I had to go look further into it. And then I studied biology. Well, of course, I studied biology and interpersonal neurobiology, science and neuroscience and neurochemistry and neurophysiology and quantum physics. And I put all this whole thing together in thinking, and I realized that everything that's going on here is starting in here. And literally what's happening in his body was breaking down because of the thoughts he was having, because of the 5 primary emotions. There's only 5 primary emotions that I've correlated to. And if you're in healthcare, you're going to love what I'm about to say, because it's correlated with the 5 activated gene pathways that cause methylation. You have infatuation, you have resentment, you have guilt, you have shame. What did I say? Infatuation, pride. Those 5 emotions are connected to the entire pathway. And we can call it happy, we can call it sad. When you're happy, eventually you end up sad. Pride, though, is a state. Guilt is a state. Shame is a state. Resentment is a state. Let's be real. Let's just be honest here just for a second. Is there anyone in this room that has 0 resentment towards their spouse? Which is why you have the resentment. Or walks around with 0 shame in their life. No, that's not true. Minimal for sure. But the reality is this, is that we as human beings are constantly navigating these 5 emotions, right? And you could go to an event, a program, or walk away feeling amazing and say like, I'm on top of the world. I can do this. I can do anything I want to. Ever been there? Felt so good. And what happens? 3-4 days later, you crash and fall flat on your face, don't you? And you're like, well, what was the point of that shit? Right? What the hell was the point of that? And she's like, yes, absolutely. I've been there. You've done that before? You go up and then you go down. You go up and you go down. And most people live their life on this yo-yo. And they live this yo-yo. And there's this place of this yo-yo that's called the quiet life of desperation. Most people that I've found, the majority, not all, you may not be in that category. You may be different because you know Pat and Lula and Lori and whoever else, Brad and Lindsay and who else, Bonnie and everyone else who's invited you here. You may be different. But what I found is most people live these quiet lives of desperation, not living the life that they really want to, but the life they think they're supposed to. And those emotions are affecting every sense of your physiology. And every time you say to yourself that I should do this, or I should have done that, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm stuck where I am. All of those actions, all of those things are going through your brain. Let's put more pressure on her by standing right in front of her. Right? Let's really stand in front of her and put a little bit more pressure on her. That's okay. I'm just messing with you. I'm just giving you a hard time. My daughter's going to FaceTime here in a second. Phone's going to go off, and I'm going to be the one in trouble because I can't turn that emergency ringer thing off for her. So if that happens, I'm sorry. I'll say that right now. But we live in this state of quiet sense of desperation where we don't know who we are, what we do, what we're supposed to do. In human physiology, those of you in healthcare, we call those senescent cells, don't we? Idle, not really growing, not really dying, just idly living. That's what a senescent cell is. So if a senescent cell is saying this, I'm coining the term that senescent human beings, quietly living this desperation, not doing what it is you're designed to do, rather staying stuck in where you are. And this is where I found most people live. This is where I found where most people create psychological illness I found most people create psychological chaos and psychophysical chaos in their life as well. This is what I found over the years. And I'm going to go through why and how it works and all that in just a second. But I want you to ask yourself the question that, are you living, truly living your life the way you want to? I don't know the answer to that. You don't have to say it out loud. There's a lady watching online right now who humbles my heart. She's been watching my work for the last 2-3 years. She's 92 years old. And she's in hospice. And she's here in Idaho. She's a friend of Pat's. And Pat told me it was her dream to come to this talk tonight, because the work that we've done, how it's helped her heal at 91 years old. So many things in her life from when she was 10, 11, 12 years old, excuse me. And so I texted Pat last night. I said, hey, is she coming? And she says, no, she fell and broke her hip and she can't be there. I said, screw that. So this afternoon, Pat picked me up and we went to her house to meet her. Yeah, she's amazing. Thank you. She's amazing. And I wanted to meet her and I wanted to ask her. And I'm going to share, I told her, I said, every time I step on stage, I'm going to share your wisdom at 91 years old. Not my wisdom as a doctor. I'm going to share your wisdom as a 91-year-old lady. What do you want to tell people? And she's watching right now. And I love you and I thank you for this wisdom that we're about to share. She said, you don't have that much time as you think you do. It goes fast. And some of my more senior people are looking at me and saying, that's absolutely true. Isn't that right? It goes fast. And she said that if you don't live, then you're going to regret your life. In essence, I'm paraphrasing a little bit. But if you're not living, then and not enjoying the experience, then you're causing your own challenges inside that. So enjoy it is what her point is. Enjoy it. Do what it is you want to do. But most people, what I've found is that most people are trapped. They become trapped because of 3 major areas of their life: their health, their wealth, and their relationships. These are the 3 areas that trap pretty much middle-class America or people. Because we don't understand that health is not feeling good. Health is a state of optimal function. We don't understand that wealth is a condition of being whole. It's a condition of being whole, not just money. The term wealth is rooted in the word wheel, right? W-E-A-L. Wheel means to be whole. The term means to be whole. Is that guy okay? It means to be whole, and anything ends in the word th means the condition of. So word wealth means to be whole. What do we think it is? Money. Money. People think that wealth is about money, and that's all it's about. It's just about cash flow. It's just about the bling, as the kids call it, right? I don't know if they call it that anymore. They call it there in the 90s. How about that? I'm a 90s kid. Drip? What's drip? Drip is an IV. Drip is IV. I don't know what you're talking about. Drip. Maybe it means life. I don't know. I'm not going to try and figure it out. Nonetheless, so if you look at it, let me go to the board just for a second. Can you guys over here see that? See the board for the most part? Yeah? Can you see it over there, sir? You've been to a program before, haven't you? You look familiar to me. Means the condition of being whole. It has nothing to do with money. Has the condition of you healing your life. Health is the condition of you healing your life. It has nothing to do with you feeling good. But most people in our world have misconstrued the definition to health as that I feel good all the time. But let me ask you a question. How many people in this room have had COVID before? Yes. Most of the room is going to say, yes, of course you have. And did you feel good? No. Did you feel like crap? Yes. Like your body's like, oh, I can't breathe. My lungs are like, arms are back. You felt like crap. But did your body become healthier and stronger because of it? Yes. And I want you to remember this as a true statement, is that in any point of adversity, that creates strength. It's the same thing in your body. Any adversity creates strength in your body. But we've separated that from our psychology to our physiology. We say, but if it feels bad, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I got a boo-boo, right? I don't like that feeling. But that's not true by any capacity. So for us to heal, we must become whole, is my point. So if I was to have this conversation with you today and say mental longevity is just about living and only health and not talk to you about your wealth, would I really be doing you a service? I'd be doing you a disservice completely, because wealth is about your relationship with your husband and your wife. Wealth is about the relationship with your spouse and your son or your daughter. It's about how you take care of your physical health. It's about how you handle your finances. How many people in this room have had financial stress in the last 10 years? Yes. How many people realize the financial crisis that's coming in the next 5 years? Yes. Okay. So you're going to watch people's health decline tragically in the course of the next 3 to 5 years because people don't understand the game of money. In our brains, this is really, really interesting. This is super. Is this valuable information so far? Yes? Yes? Okay. For 4 of you, they're truly valuable. It's great. This side, these guys don't like it. It's because I have to go stand in front of them a little bit more. Your brain is making decisions about money. Get this. At the same location in the striatum of the amygdala. Same location as it makes decisions for your social well-being. So what the hell does that mean, Doc? That sounds interesting. It sounds really creative. What does it mean? It means this, is how many people have made poor financial decisions to stand up in society more or feel that they fit in more? Of course you have. Anyone taken the stupid debt before? Yes, of course you have. We went to buy some furniture. I don't know, it must have been a year or two ago. Went to buy some furniture and we're standing in the furniture place. We looked at some of the stores. We looked at some of the things. I'm like, that's cool. It's good furniture. It's great. He's like, yeah, let me see if I can get you a discount on this and that. I'm like, I'm Indian. Discount. Yes, I'm in. So he goes, and then this other sales guy comes talking to me. He's like, oh yeah, we've got some great programs right now. He goes, you buy the thing and it's great. It's interest. There's no interest. I'm like, oh, fantastic. He goes, you know what? I'll tell you what, I did this thing. He goes, it's Super Bowl in 3 weeks. He goes, but I called Samsung and I got myself this 85-inch TV. And I'm like, that's amazing. That's cool. 85-inch TV. That's awesome. He's like, yeah, it's this 85-inch TV and it's amazing. It's huge. It's awesome. He goes, and I just pay monthly. I just pay monthly. And it's like 9% interest. I'm like, wow, amazing. I'm not going to say that. I've never met him. I'm like, amazing, great job. He said, and you know what? Next year, they come back and they just replace the TV for me. I said, so when do you stop paying for the TV? He's like, no, it's just, I keep paying it. I said, in my head, I'm like, so you're constantly paying 9% interest on this TV that they're just going to keep recycling on you. Great job. Good job. But do you think that's a wise financial decision? Of course not. I'm talking to a smarter group of people here. But the reality is that most people aren't thinking that way. They're not thinking fiscally sound. They're not thinking about their life from that position. What they're saying is that, and is that eventually going to cause him stress and chaos? You better believe it. You better believe it. So if I said to you that wealth is not a factor, money isn't a factor of your health, that's not true. Because I've done more work with people's health, and I can sit and correlate this. If you have financial issues or are stressed about finances or hold on to something about finances, your health is 100% correlated. 100%. 100%. And I'm bold enough to say this, that all chronic conditions, 99.9%, that's my birth control number, right? 99.9% of all chronic conditions come from psychology. the way that you've thought. And I'm going to prove it here to you in just a second. Because most of us don't realize what happens to us. You all have phones, right? Pull out you have a phone. I know you have a phone. She's got a phone. There's no question about it. Let me see your phone. Okay, fantastic. Let's give it up for Ashley, right? So she's got this thing called a phone. Now, it rings and beeps whenever it wants to, doesn't it? Whenever it wants to. When someone says, hey, I'm going to call you. But is this phone constantly working, even when it's not ringing? Yes, it is. Is Mark Zuckerberg listening to us? Yes, he is. He's listening to everything we're saying. So this thing is working on this thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, my IT people. I'm a doctor, not an IT genius. But it's kind of got this thing called RAM, or random access memory. Am I right in saying that? Right? Come on. Let's give it up for Dr. T on that. Thank you very much. But this thing has got this random access memory. And hold on, wait, I'm not done with it. I want to give it back to you. And if she's got this thing working and she's got one app working, is it working more efficiently? It's a good point. I didn't give you the second part, did I? Compared to 15 apps. Right? If there's 15 apps that are operating that she hasn't closed out the window and she hasn't swiped up all those times to put those away and they're still running, which is working better, with one app open or 15 apps open? One, right? Even my non-computer geniuses, my dad could say the same thing. He would know this, right? One. But on the phone, you have the ability to clean that out, turn it off. What if I told you that it's the same thing in your body? What if I told you that the human system is working on the same physiologic function? That the more stress you've put over the years accumulating in your body is making your random access memory accumulate more and more and more and more and more, and it's working over time. Is your body going to be more efficient or less efficient? Less efficient. Is that going to bring more disease or less disease? More disease. Is that going to mean that you're going to go to the doctor and say, I have this hip problem, neck problem, shoulder problem, arthritis, stomach problem, colon problem, all this stuff, and he's going to sit and say, you need a medication to fix it? Yes. Again, I want you to understand, I'm not here anti-medicine. I'm not here to preach anti-medicine. I'm not here to preach pro-non-medicine. I'm here to teach you how to be healthy. Do you see the difference in that? I don't care whether you take medicine or don't medicine. That's your choice. But I will teach you how the body works, that you make an informed decision about that. Because to me, that's all I care. I understand how the body works. Does medicine have a place in society? Absolutely. When my son was a year old and his pulse oxygen dropped to 81, thank God for medicine. It saved my boy's life, right? As an emergency triage system, it saved his life. Antibiotics, whatever they did, the tubes, all that stuff. My ex-wife used to be a pharmacist. My brothers are pharmacists. My best friends are pharmacists. So I am not anti-medicine. I'm actually very pro-medicine when it's needed. But at the same token, the number one cause of death, other than my statement, the number one cause of death is medicine. And please understand, not the wrong medication for the wrong diagnosis. It's the proper use for the proper medication for the proper diagnosis in the system. And again, that's not medicine's fault. That's because we've let our bodies just deteriorate. You see my point, what I'm trying to say? But if you empower your health tonight and you wake up to what health could be for you and you take charge of it and say, you know what? Fuck diabetes. Excuse my French. Some of you got charged when I said that. I got it. What's that? Good, thank you. I talk real. I'm a real dude. But if you said, screw that, I'm not going to go down that path. I'm going to change my physiology. I'm going to change the way I live. Then you could do something different. Most doctors aren't going to talk to you like that. Most doctors are going to say, well, what do you want to do? Well, you know what? I'm going to give you some metformin. Try this out. Let's check your blood work in 6 weeks and see what's happening. And we'll try that again. And you play this trial in order. You see my point? I'm interested in saying to you, you don't have to play that game. You can actually take charge of your life. You can take charge of your health by information. First, you've got to learn how it works. Then you decide what you want to do. Is that fair? Is that good? So let's go through this. Let's understand how the body works. Is this valuable? Good. So the human body is made up very simply. For my doctors in the room and my healthcare people, please understand, we can go into neurophysiology in much deeper levels, but let's keep it general for the purpose of humans in this, or most of us in this room, okay? This is the human body. Yes, I suck as art. Done, I got it, okay? I'm not claiming to be an artist. Can you guys see it over here? Can you guys see it? Okay, great. You have two parts of a nervous system. You have something called let's right here, sympathetic nervous system, and you have a parasympathetic nervous system. Anyone heard of these before? Of course, some of you have. Some of you have been studying some health, know this. You've learned this in basic biology. So since you know this, I'm going to ask you as the audience, what does the sympathetic nervous system do? What is its main role? Someone said it. Fight, flight, or freeze. Good. What that means is this. I'll give you an example. Remember when the 82-year-old lady was up here and she was dancing, getting you guys dancing, Miss Lula, and you guys were all like, that's freezing. That's called freezing. She's up here bringing the energy, and you guys are like, oh, do I have to dance? I have to move? But that's a frozen state. Now, in this room, if for some reason, you know, everyone's heard this analogy, so I'll use it again, but a saber-toothed tiger ran into this room. Everyone in this room would be like, oh my God, there's a tiger in this room, except maybe a couple of you. A couple of you would be like, yeah, I got this. I'll fight this thing. Not me. I'd be the first one out of the door because I'm already standing. But some of you would do that. That's the sympathetic nervous system saying, get the F out of here, right? Fight or freeze, go. Some of you would get frozen like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. That's what that nervous system, part of the nervous system does. It's a protective mechanism of the nervous system. It's the catabolic part of your nervous system. It's the breakdown part of your nervous system. We all need it. Everyone has it. You have to function with it. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, the parasympathetic nervous system. Who's going to talk to me about the parasympathetic nervous system? What does that represent? Rest and digest. This is the part of the nervous system where it's on vacation. And it's getting a massage, getting fed grapes, thinking, oh my God, this is what heaven should feel like. The sun is you're sunbathing, getting more color. I don't need that, but someone does. And you're just relaxing, everything is easy. That's the parasympathetic nervous system, where it's resting, it's digesting. And so most people think that their body is resting and digesting, and that's what they need more of. The more rest and digest I get, the better I'll be, because most people are living in a state of sympathetic challenge all the time. So, but the truth is we pretty much work on the sympathetic during the daytime and parasympathetic during the nighttime. That's when these two systems come into place. That's why I asked you the question a little while ago, that if you're at night and you argue with your spouse and you get into an argument and you know, shit, sleep is screwed. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I am very anal on my sleep and recovery. Anyone in this room like that? A couple of you are. Okay, so I am very much like that. I am like a biohacker on steroids. No steroids, just biohacker, right? Like I study everything. My Aura Ring tells me everything. There was a point, you guys know what a Whoop band is? Okay, so let me just give you an example. This is a bio tracker inside my body, okay? It checks my heart rate, rhythm, all this stuff. I had another one on my wrist, because that also checked my rhythms. I had another one on my arm, with my iWatch. And I also was wearing one around my chest inside that. I know, a little neurotic. I get it. Here's why I did it, because I said, I want to know which information's the most correct, right? I wanted to know what's the most accurate thing I could wear, because everyone claims that theirs is the best. And I said, I want to know what the most accurate is. So what I did is I looked at it and I found it. And I said, okay, this was most accurate. And I found that the Aura Ring and the iWatch was relatively accurate. When you work out, you can wear around the heart rate. But that's what I found. So my point is that I study this stuff as a specimen. I look through all of it through my own eyes. So now my point is this, is that last week, I had this beautiful girlfriend named Amanda. So who knows Amanda in this room? Yeah, some of you guys know Amanda. She's amazing. And she decided at 9 o'clock at night to pick a fight with me. 9 o'clock at night. to pick a fight with me. It's not the fact that she picked the fight. I'm happy to do the fight in the morning. Totally okay with the fight in the morning. I'm totally okay being a jerk and having the problem in the morning, calling me an asshole in the morning. Do whatever you got to do. Just do it in the morning, because what's going to happen at night is this, is that I'm going to get angry. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be emotions. And what's going to happen is the sympathetic nervous system is going to kick up, correct? And then if that's going to happen, what happens to the blood pressure? It goes up. What happens to the heart rate? It goes up. What happens to the sleep? It goes down. What happens to the recovery? It goes down. And so what happened that night, I said, I love you so much that I'm willing to fight with you tonight. So we had our wonderful argument. It wasn't a fight, like you guys, it was a disagreement. But disagreements can turn into challenging moments, can't they? Of course they can. So you want to look at your life and say, are you balanced between the sympathetic and parasympathetic? But what happens is this, is most people are running on a sympathetic constant state. How many people in this room, be honest with yourself, are getting 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep a night? Okay, that's 5 people in the room. I'm going to ask you a different way. How many people are not getting 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep a night? Okay, but keep your hands up. No, don't keep them up. Do it with pride. Say, I don't sleep, and I'm proud of that. Okay? Why? Why do you think that is? For most of you, I don't know if you're eating late at night. I don't know if you're doing these things. But for most of you, in my work that I've studied over the years, it's that our sympathetic nervous system is running our body. I asked you a question a little while ago. How many people want to lose weight? How many people in this room have done diets before and had no results? Put up your hands. Of course you have, because the diet is not the problem. The problem is your nervous system is working overtime all the time. It's always in a state of fight, flight, or defense. There's always a guard up. Always something's going to attack me. Something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. I don't know what it is. And no matter what, I've got to stay protected, because if I don't, this is going to activate. I had obviously Hurricane Ian the other day. Okay, went through Florida, and my daughter's in Florida, and she's in Fort Lauderdale, but so she was all right necessarily. But I have friends of mine in Naples, and I got calls, and I got a call today, and this is a super well-known individual, and she's like, I need to connect with you soon because I lost both homes. And she goes, that's not the problem. I have insurance on that. But I'm having nightmares because of this. That's a form of PTSD. I want you to understand that. That's a form of PTSD. She's never been to war. But that's a form of PTSD going through that. She's having nightmares because of this. How many people have nightmares in their life? Many of you will. Okay, but here's what happens. Let's say you have an experience in your life, and every single moment, as I said, our body is creating this neurochemistry and telling us what is happening, what's not happening. And our whole system is constantly working through this function of making sure we're protected. How many people want to live in abundance? Fantastic. You can't get to abundance because your body works on survival. Please understand, your nervous system doesn't care about abundance. It doesn't care. It feels good. I'm abundant. I love the idea of it, but the nervous system lives on survival. And we say abundance is just the parasympathetic nervous system. I've taken neural studies of this, and I've seen people who said that they lived in abundance, and I look at their scans, and 100% of them, their cortisol is up, and the norepinephrine and the epinephrine's up, which means that the sympathetic nervous system is firing nonstop. So I'm here to teach you to sit and say, I love the idea of abundance, but you've got to get there systematically by healing yourself. It can't be arbitrary. It can't be like a lot of people will sit and say, I just move from stress to abundance by just thinking and being that way. That doesn't work that way. You've got episodes, you've got experiences. Like, for example, let's say someone in this room, let's say you were 5 years old and someone came along, and at 5 years old, would you say that you really don't know what's going on? You're a pretty playful kid. You're walking around, you're playing with your Tonka trucks. Do they still have Tonka trucks? Yeah, they do? All right, cool. So let's say you're playing with your Tonka trucks, and you have your Tonka trucks, and then all of a sudden something comes in and you hear mommy and daddy fighting. And that Tonka trunk game that you've been playing, you felt so good. You hear mommy and daddy fighting and they start arguing inside that. And you start to say, oh my God, what's going to happen? What part of your nervous system now kicks in? Sympathetic, right? And that sympathetic now kicks in and says, oh no, what's going to happen? And let's say something horrific happens. Mom and dad get into a fight, get into an argument, and someone gets hit, and you watch it, you experience that. Anyone, you don't have to say yes to that. It happens more often than you think, is my point. More often than you think. And then you say, oh my God, you cry, you're like, oh my God, stop. And then what happens? 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, an hour later, they give you a cookie, they give you some milk, maybe more cookies, and you feel a little bit better, don't you? What happened to that memory? It's stored. It got stored in your system. The human body is the conduit of consciousness. It is the conduit of consciousness. It got stored within your system, all of it. And it's literally functioning and now put stress mode. So anytime someone says relationship, fight, oh my God, what triggers? You don't know about it. It's not telling you, hey, look, remember that time you had a fight? It stays latent in what Freud used to call the subconscious mind. I don't like that term. It's not subconscious, it's in your latent awareness. It's running your random access memory consistently. Is this making sense? Consistently running your random access memory. So Julie, right? She said, I'm not in a relationship. Fantastic. Do you think if she was in a relationship that was loving, caring, happy, joyful, excited, fantastic, she didn't say, I can't wait to get another one? Or if she said, that son of a, I hate him, I hate men, I hate relationships, I hate everything that has to do with, which one is going to cause a greater level of stress in her system? The second, the latter. So you tell me, is she going to move towards a relationship if that's running her random access memory? There's no way. There's no way. Most people live this idea and this fantasy of the why is more important. Just the why. Just know your why. And that's all that matters. And I'm going to sit and tell you, the why is not the answer. The why is not the answer. If I asked you all right now, why do you want to be whatever you want to be, whether it be successful in life, whether it be financially successful, whether it be healthy, whether it be a multi-gazillionaire, or whether it be that you just want to spend time with your family and be healthy, or build a business or open a garden, I don't care what it is. You would all tell me, you know your why. You're going to sit and say, my family, my kids, I want to be an inspiration. I want to do that. You know that answer. So my question to people as I travel across the world is, then why not? Why haven't you done it? What's stopping you? And what's stopping you is this thing in the middle, causing your random access memory to operate consistently. This is what I call a root experience. And this root experience is consistently running. So here's the thing, is if this 5-year-old kid has this trauma or this root experience, sympathetic is going to be dominated in that state, right? Okay, so sympathetic is dominated. What hormone is going to be released? Cortisol. What neurotransmitters are going to be released? Norepinephrine and epinephrine, right? So if norepinephrine and epinephrine are released, my healthcare people, what's that going to trigger in the muscular activity? More relaxed muscle tension or increased muscle tension? Increased muscle tension. So if that's going to increase muscle tension, is that going to increase blood pressure? Yes, 100%. 100%. Is that going to increase tactility and contractility in facial structure and cause TMJ issues and body issues? 100%. Is that going to cause an issue with digestion, diverticulitis, IBS, processing of foods? Yes, it is. All of those things come into play because the whole system is now contracted. Now, this is just a small case. What if there's a major root experience that comes along and the whole body says, freeze for a large period of time? Now what happens to oxygen? Stops, doesn't it? The oxygenation stops. The whole breathing system stops. And now this is frozen in your system. So what happens to now breathing? It goes shallow. What's your nightly breathing go? Higher or lower? Higher. Because you need more breaths per minute to get oxygen into your system. So you get more breaths inside of that. So now you're breathing at a faster rate. And oxygen, your breathing is faster. Okay? Now what's happening to your system? All these symptoms are happening inside of it. But now we're going to believe that we need something to go clear this, and we need a medication, we need an Excedrin, we need all this stuff to make our life better inside of it. But the truth is that that was a root experience. Now here's the interesting thing. Here's the interesting thing that I want you to gather. A dear friend of mine is a mortality expert. Basically, he worked for the insurance companies. And the insurance companies paid him to predict when someone would die. Do you think insurance companies have enough information and data to put patterns together to assess? Yes, they do, 100%. And this guy was one of 5 people in the world that could pinpoint it within a 3-month period. Yeah, that's scary crap, right? Super scary. I don't want to know that. I don't want to know that. And here's the thing. He was in a room with a bunch of oncologists, doctors, and he was doing a presentation with them. And the one thing that all healthcare providers, and you guys in healthcare, you tell me, can all agree upon, is that oxygen, hypoxia, at the end of the day is the ultimate cause of death. A lack of oxygen. To the brain, to the heart, to the cells, to everywhere, right? I don't know what specialty you're in, but at the end of the day, it's hypoxia, which means a lack of oxygen. It's a big technical medical term that just means I have no oxygen in my system. Okay, you tell me, doctors, because you're the doctor today, not me, because doctor just means teacher. And the ultimate doctor is the one who heals himself, because you all heal yourself. You all had COVID, right? And you're all here, therefore you healed yourself, correct? Yes, so you're the healer. If you put oxygen into the system, your body begins to work better. So would you like to know an exercise, a treatment, a system to help increase your oxygen levels every single day? Yes? Okay, sit up straight. This is not me. How many have heard of a guy named Wim Hof? Some of you have heard of Wim Hof. Let's do a little Wim Hof breathing. If you're online watching as well, you can do this as well. It's really simple. We're just going to do 3 breaths, 3 simple breaths, and you can do this every day for yourself to get oxygen into the system. Wim Hof studies have shown that people who do this type of breathing increase their lifespan by 7 to 10 years. 7 to 10 years. Okay? Now I promise you, you guys think I'm all over the place. I'm going to tie all of this together. I'm going to tie all of this together, I promise. Okay, so we're going to breathe in and out. We're going to do that for 5. And then we're going to hold the breath in this room. Let's do it for 15 seconds. Okay, and then we're going to let it out. Normally, I would hold for 30 seconds. Okay, but because I want to respect everyone's place, if you feel that you can't do it, you need to breathe, then breathe. Is that okay with everyone? Right? Take it to your comfort level, but I just want to show you what to do. Now, when you breathe, you got to bring your lungs out, right? So you got to bring your lungs into it. You got to open the diaphragm up and get oxygen into the system. For those of you at home, if you're sitting there, you may want to stand up. You may want to breathe, but you don't want to be slouched over like this. This isn't doing anything, okay? So take a deep breath in and out. Okay, that was too slow. We're going to go fast out, whoever. Okay, so follow my lead. It's going to go. Okay, we're going to do count of 5. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and let it out. And that should happen to some of you, right? Some of that coughing came up, right? Good. Because what's happening when you do that, please understand, you're getting oxygen to the cells at that point in time. That's what's happening then. Let's do 2 more, okay? Deep breath in. Deep breath in. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. How many people feel a little bit of different energy in their system right now? Let's be real, right? A little bit. It's kind of crazy, like this crazy Indian doctor. I didn't believe this shit. Look, Pat, thanks for bringing them. Look, thanks for bringing them. Okay, good. One more. Let's go. Deep breath in. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and let it out. Okay. Feel different? Feel a little bit more energized? Feel a little bit of blood rushing to the head a little bit? Yes. That's not blood, that's oxygen. You're finally getting oxygen, because here's the thing. As most of you have said to me, that you don't get enough sleep, which means that most of your systems are running sympathetically, which means that most of your bodies are hypoxic. So I'm going to scare the shit out of you when I make this statement. Your bodies are more leaning towards death than it is life at this moment if you're hypoxic. This was not a motivating talk, was it? I was not claiming to be a motivating guy. If you are not sleeping, that means your body, what's happening is oxygen's getting to your brain and it's waking you up. And those cells have to wake up. And the oxygenation that you're getting inside of your system is allowing your body to actually function inside of it. I didn't create breathing. I want you to understand that. It's been around since the beginning of humanity. But are we doing it properly? That's the question. Because most people, when we get this root experience, we hold our breath, we contract it, we squeeze, we say, oh my God, stress hits in. Then what we do is we search for this next thing that'll make us feel good. It'll either be a cookie, a chocolate, a donut, ice cream, someone's compliments, someone's showering compliments, sex, drugs, cigarettes, alcohol, and then I feel better. We said norepinephrine and epinephrine were the sympathetic neurotransmitters, correct? Then therefore, what are the parasympathetic ones? This one big one. Dopamine. Dopamine all day long. People want to complain about social media. I can't believe these kids. They're watching social media and it's causing dopamine strikes all day long. They're complaining while I have my wine. Hypocritical all day long. Yes, it is dopamine. We are a dopamine addicted society wanting to feel good all the time. We constantly do because we want to run on this parasympathetic nervous system. We want things to be easy without challenge. We want ease without challenge. We want to have zero stress in our life because we think stress is bad. Stress is just the inability to adapt to a changing environment. That's it. Right now, I don't know what's the elevation up here? 2,500? Okay, so tomorrow, so I came from Chicago, which is 600. We went to 2,500. Did my body have to adapt? Yes. Is my oxygen going to be different tonight when I sleep? Yes, 100%. Tomorrow, I'm going to Miami. Is my oxygen going to be different? Yes. Is my body going to have to adapt? Yes. This is normal, what I'm trying to sit and say. You have to adapt. Your body's always adapting. What we can't adapt to is our society and our environment around us. Because we want to be happy without being sad. We want people to be kind without being cruel. We want to be supported without ever being challenged. And what we feel is that the more challenged we get, the less we actually will grow. But it's not what happens to us. It's how we rewire that to realize it happens for us. Do we actually allow us to ourselves to our brains to grow and realize that it served us? If it's on the way rather than in the way, it's going to produce a greater result. Does that make sense? Most people don't realize that. Most people will sit and say, of course, I'm preaching to the choir in this room, but most people sit and say, oh, this happened. Let me just think positive and that'll be fine. And everything in life that you think positive is good, right? Positive thinking solves it all. Okay, so why do you need to figure out how to get through it if you just figured out the system and understood why it's happening? See, positive thinking is not bad, but neither is negative thinking. You have to balance them. But why is it bad or good? When you realize that there is no bad or good, there's no label that's attached to it. It's denying reality. Thank you. Psychologically, Freud used to say this. Milton Erickson had said this. We as human beings choose to live in a state of delusion more than not, because we want to live consciously or unconsciously with a higher dopamine spike because it makes us feel good. Dopamine isn't bad. Please understand that. It makes us feel good. It makes us do things in life, move forward in life, have creativity in life, makes you have relations in life, if you have married with a spouse or a partner, it makes us move forward. Whatever you want in your life, you've created because of dopamine. It's not a bad thing, but it's how you manage it that matters. It's how you manage that dopamine that matters. Most of us are constantly being programmed by the world around us, not taking control of our thoughts. And most of us are living in these root experiences with our random access memory constantly functioning at a higher level with more stress in our system. And most of us in our society, I shouldn't say most, I don't know this for a fact. A lot of us are quietly living in states of anger and pride. I'm right, you're wrong. And that quiet state of pride also, from my research, leads to arterial sclerosis, blood pressure issues, heart disease issues, cholesterol issues. Because what hormone is released? Testosterone. Too much testosterone activates cortisol. Cortisol now gets too high and it now goes into the blood vessels. Is this making sense? Testosterone, is cholesterol bad? No, in proper amounts. Is exercise good? Thank you, in proper amounts. In moderation, until you balance it into the system. But most systems are running on constant stress and constant fight or flight. And what's happening to them is that they're trying to do everything to fit into society. But what's happening is that their system is breaking down. And you have these cells in your body. How many people have heard this thing called the mitochondria before? A couple of you have. So the mitochondria, it's a big technical term, but I just want to engage in what it is. The mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cells. They're the powerhouse of the cells. And it literally, they've shown this, is that death, let me say this correctly. The lower the mitochondria, the quicker the death. The lower the mitochondria, the quicker the death. That's why you can see these supplement things that we have here. If you choose to get them or not, that's up to you. But I have a mitochondrial product in there to help what's called mitogenesis, to increase the mitochondrial production inside them. Because what produces oxygen? Exercise and mitochondria. If you don't have energy to exercise, do you produce more oxygen? No, you can't. So why I'm saying this is that if you don't have oxygen running in your system, you don't have mitochondria in your system, the mitochondria break down, your body is now having a lack of energy in the system. If you have the energy to move and do something, then you'll go off and do something. When you're living in a depressed, anxious, constant stress state, do you feel inspired that you want to go do something in the world, or do you feel depressed, anxious, and stay stuck exactly where you are? Stay stuck exactly where you are. Do you become a senescent human and a senescent cell at the same time? Yes, because you don't feel inspired to go do something. However, when you heal this, you change that, you remove it from the brain, and it no longer becomes a state that's holding you back. You can see it in order, in a state of balance, just as this young lady said, in a state of balance, not either positive or negative, not good or bad, because I've done this work a million times over, and what people thought one day was good, when I do this, I realize it's not good. It's just as bad, isn't it? Because our perception holds on to the state thinking that it's good because that makes us feel better. We're holding on to our addictions because of our egos. That's a neurologic mechanism. We're holding on to the addiction because of our egos, because it makes us feel good. But when we look at it in reality, it's neither good nor bad. It's neither right nor wrong. And we're much more governed in a state of love rather than a state of imbalance. At least it's Harry Potter, this one. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. There's several points we've covered so far that I'm hoping that you've gotten to. Your system is a bunch of raw materials. What that means is this, is every human being, every human system right now is built on raw materials. I'm not going to get into the microbiome and the biome in that conversation, but if you don't put the right raw materials into the system, can the system work optimally? No, it can't. We know that this is simple. This is not a diet and nutrition class. I'm happy to go into it if you're interested, but you really need carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. How many people are vegetarian or vegan in this room? A couple. If you are, let me just make a recommendation. Make sure you're getting adequate amounts of protein. Make sure you're getting adequate amounts of protein. Because I was on that vegan, my parents are Indian, so therefore they're vegetarian. They've been vegetarian for a long time. And I had this argument with them constantly. But look, we don't eat meat. I don't care, eat protein. But look, I don't eat meat. Do a protein shake. But look, I'm like, my God, not just take protein shake. And your entire cell, every single nucleus, every single part of your system is made up of protein. My daughter's studying neuroscience in Florida. And she said, Dad, she goes, I never realized how important protein was. I said, no shit. I've been telling you this for 18 years. Finally, some professor tells her and he listens, right? That's how it works. You're never, what's the saying? You're never a prophet in your own town. That's right. That's exactly right. I mean, hell, I had to travel to Idaho. I'd say this in Chicago. Nobody listens to anything. Nobody comes to me in Chicago. I got to go to Idaho. But your raw materials, you need the right raw materials in your body. The right raw materials give your body the physical stature that it needs to be able to do what it needs to. Second part of this, I want you to gather. And I kind of said it earlier. And this is, yes, again, we've got the artist thing down. I suck. In here, this part of this thing is called this almond type thing. You've heard of this before. It's called the amygdala. Have you heard of that before? Okay, you've heard of this amygdala. Now, the amygdala is the part of the brain that controls emotions. Remember these root experiences we've been talking about this whole time? Right? We said these root experiences. They all get stored in the amygdala. And then they're, in essence, controlling from the amygdala all the neurotransmitter release. With me so far? Yes? Yes or yes? Okay, thank you. And up here, you have this other area of the brain. It's really small. It's called the hippocampus. Excuse me, hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. Cool. Now, every single person in this room, I don't care who you are, where you've come from, what you've done, what you haven't done. Every single person in this room has a different and unique set of values. You're unique. Every one of you. And everyone looks at the world based on their own root experiences that's happened in their life. And you will look to your life and say, I would love to do this. How many people in your life have said, I would love to do this with my life? Put up your hands if that's true. Okay. How many people, keep your hands up just for a second. How many people have actually done it? Okay. Some of you are like, I don't know. It's a yes or a no question, Lindsay. Maybe. I'm on the way. Maybe. I don't know. Okay. The reason I ask you that is because of this. Is your hypothalamus, for my doctors and the healthcare people in the room, in the basal ganglia, the pulvinar region of the hypothalamus, you're actually filtering your reality based on your values. So, do you have any children? No, the lady behind you. Sorry. How many children do you have? 3 children. How old are they? Fantastic. Remember when they were 4, 5, and 7? They were cute, weren't they? It's kind of different now, probably. They're probably still cute, but in a different way. Right? But they were really young. They were lovely. And you probably loved being a mom, didn't you? Yeah. I had that sense. Let's have some fun. So, son, good to meet you, son. What's your name? Julianne. Pleasure to meet you. So, Julianne. Okay, so Julianne. So you have a set of values. that at the time when the kids were 4, 5, 7, 10 years old, when you were young, that being a mom was like it, right? Like she took care of you, didn't she? She made dinner, she made you lunch sometimes. I'm sure she did much more than that. When you were crying, when you were sick, of course she did all that, right? But it's not of course, because there's a lot of people whose mothers have not done that. Am I correct in making that statement? Yes. So you're taking it for granted, but she did what she valued, right? But I promise you, listen to what I'm about to say. They hit 10. The youngest one hit 10, and mothering changed. Now you said, you know what, screw this shit. You figure out your own way. You make your own lunch. You do what you want to do. Am I correct? You said, because your values now changed. And you probably got more into the workforce, into more of your career and things you wanted to do. Am I correct in saying that? What did you get into? Fantastic. Congratulations. So you published a book at that time, right? And what was the book on? Weddings. Okay, great. So just for my own fun here, you're like, shit. I could see it in her face. She's like, man, do I really got to go? So were you married when you published it or divorced? You're married. Are you still married? Okay. The reason I ask you that question is because it's on the wedding industry or being married. Fantastic. Okay, great. So wedding planning and planning events is a big thing for you. Yeah, you probably still are probably pretty good at that. Fantastic. Even better. You didn't do it for the bride. You did it as a business, which I like better. Because money became more important. Your independence became more important. Building a business became more important to you, right? Okay, why did she do that? Her brain shifted in her neurochemistry from her values. The oxytocin towards her child went down, and her body started searching for other things. At some point in your life, when you were in your teens or younger years, you wanted to be a businesswoman. Correct? Right? Now, that's her. I don't know you at all by any means. But here's the thing I want you to gather. If you look at, can you stand up for me just for a second? If you look at Julianne and say, you know what an amazing woman. She's done some amazing things in her life. And she's built this wedding business. She's made this whole bridal thingamabob, right? She made a lot of money on it. It's great. But if your values weren't business, if your values weren't growing, building a resource guide for brides and building a show, all these shows, and your values were actually socializing and meeting people and talking to people and learning what's going on in the community, and you looked at her and you compared yourself to her, eventually you're going to say, shit, she's so much better than I am, right? That point is very important to realize, because that comparison creates judgment. And that judgment takes us back to the 5 primary emotions that we started with: pride, infatuation, shame, guilt, and resentment. Does that make sense? Because what you're going to do is you're going to look up to her and say, she's amazing. I'm infatuated with that. And then you have your own successes, I can tell. And you're going to look at her and say, she's amazing in that. But you're going to sit and say, maybe, you know what? I can't do that. I'm not as good and valued in society the same way inside that. And then you're going to judge yourself. And then you're going to feel shame towards yourself and resent yourself and create anger and resentment towards you. Does that make sense? What's your name? Kim. Pleasure to meet you, Kim. I'm Dr. T. Let's give it up for these two. All right? Now you're thinking, why the hell is he doing this? Why is he talking about this stuff? Because if your system, if Kim is here judging herself, guilt, shame, resentment, anger, pride, which part of the nervous system is she working? Sympathetic, all day long. And her sympathetic nervous system is now going to fire. So I don't care if you come to me as a doctor and you tell me you have irritable bowel disease. Do I ever ask you the questions to find out who you're comparing your life to? No. I'm going to give you a drug, a medication, a pill, a potion to make sure that you're not having issues with your stomach. Is this making sense? Right? I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, good or bad. Doctors, I'm not blaming them. They don't have the ability, nor the time, nor the bandwidth to be able to do what they're doing. That's why you have to take control of your own health. And if you don't take control of your health, don't expect a doctor to come along and do it. They're not going to, right? You have to take care of it for yourself. So if you're going to spend your life not living in your values in here, you'll compare yourself to everyone else. And when, as long as you're comparing yourself to someone else, you're going to look down on yourself and look up to others. And when you're looking up to other people, you're going to say, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve, and I feel shame and guilt towards me. And the emotion of shame and guilt will destroy you from having any money or wealth in your life. Because guilt causes you to give away your money. It causes you to give away your money. If you have resentment towards yourself and you resent who you are, then why would you bring money into you that's going to give you more experiences, more life, more value? You won't. So at a subconscious or latent awareness level, what you're doing is you're moving wealth in or out of your life based on your emotions and your root experiences you've been holding on to. Is this now making sense? Is this starting to come together? What is happening to the oxygen in your system if your root experiences are causing in a sympathetic state? Lowered. So the whole system is running sympathetically because of a psychological place. I also made a statement a little while ago that where you make decisions about money is also the same place you make decisions about your social stature. And so people are like, I don't get that. Do you get that? Do you get that in that exact scenario? Can't believe it, Julianne. Okay, so it's got to be important. You can handle it. This area of the values is in essence determining every single way you're looking at the world. It's determining every single action you're taking. And it filters through the system to go into the sympathetic or the parasympathetic nervous system in you. No matter what. So I'm going to make some bold statements here. If you were, because 1 in 3 women now have been molested. It's a fact. 1 in 3 women have been molested. Your nervous system is constantly working at a sympathetic state. I had a client one time, superstar client. She's just an amazing woman. She was 24 years old. Not when she was 29 when she came to see me. She was 24 years old when she was molested after a party in college. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, good or bad. I'm not saying any of these things. Please understand that. Please understand I'm not making a judgment on it. All I know is that it happened, right? That's all I'm stating. It happened. And so she came to one of my events and programs and she said, Doc, I've been raped. I said, okay, great. She said, what do you mean great? I said, let's go rewire this. Let's fix this so that you don't have to hold on to this. And she said, it's possible to rewire this? I said, absolutely, 100%. Give me 20 minutes. It's done. It's over. 20 minutes later, she was grateful for the experience to the rapist. And if she saw the rapist again, she would want to thank him for the experience that he gave her. Ladies and gentlemen, that sounds so crazy to people and so foreign. I get it. But I do it every single day. I have thousands of cases. I have people in this room have seen me do it and have been experienced of me doing it. Because that is the ultimate, when it doesn't matter. Is it saying that it didn't happen? No. Can you change that? No. But can I get the body and the nervous system to heal from it? Yes. That's all we're talking about. I'm not making a judgment morality-wise. Is it a good or a bad judgment? I'm not saying is it right in the eyes of God or not. I'm not making any of these labels or judgments. All I'm saying is that it happened, and based on the nervous system, if I don't heal that, that nervous system is going to continue to get sick and continue to get unhealthy, and her body's going to get ill. That's all I'm making a statement. So we changed it. Boom, this lady was struggling in business. The next month goes out and now starts increasing her business by 2-fold, just like that. Now her business, after a year, she's doing literally 6 times the business. She's opened 3 other businesses inside of it. It's not the why, ladies and gentlemen. It's the why not. What's stopping you? It's the why not that's stopping you from living your life. It's not the why. You know the why. You all want the why, but you judge yourself because the why not. You judge yourself and say, why is this not working? It's the why not. Figure out the why not, get that, remove that block out of the way, and then go live your life. Because when you live in your values, here's what happens. You feel excited. You feel inspired. I don't want you to ever live passionately. I don't ever want you to live in a state of motivation. I'm not here to talk to you about inspiration. I'm here to talk to you about inspiration. Because inspiration is breath in. When you breathe in, like we did 5 minutes ago, what we're doing is we're taking oxygen into the system. When I take a root experience and we heal it, we rewire it, and we balance the nervous system from the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, it now gets to function at a balanced state. You start to breathe. And when you breathe, that nervous system calms down. And oxygen now enters the system. And breath goes up. How many people in my clients or programs have seen that happen and had their entire nervous system change because of that? Because that's how it works. That's how it works. So how do you calm down the random access memory? That's always working. You've got to get oxygen and you got to rewire the past. That's the only way I know how to really heal it. And I'm not against therapy. I'm not against counseling. But in my experience, so my humble experience is all I'm going to speak from, is that the more you tell your story, the more you're myelinating the brain to continue that path story. You're continuing the same story again and again and again. And that's a process of myelination that's continuing that pathway. If you go and you rewire it and you use anti-neurons and you balance it out, take the neurochemistry, heal it, it no longer becomes a thing. You don't have to live in mental illness of it. You just rewire it and it no longer becomes an issue. Just like this young lady at 20 years old, 24 years old, 29, healed it, done, it's over. Life goes on. There's no morality. There's no judgment. There's none of that inside of it. Because then what will happen is your brain then goes up here to this area called the prefrontal cortex, or the executive center of the brain. Who are my yogis in the room? Really? Not? Come on, where are my yogis? That's okay. You can be a newbie. A little bit. Idaho doesn't do yoga. This is a business opportunity. I tell you what. I'm going to start a franchise. I'm going to call it the Deepak. You guys know Deepak Chopra is my uncle, right? He is. Infinite consciousness in the... Yeah, he's my uncle. No. Just because we're brown, we're not all related. No. But I will tell you truthfully, transparently, when I was 17 years old, I idolized and I admired him. I resented him first. I did. I resented. That's how it works, isn't it? You first got to resent the person and you realize that, shit, they're doing exactly what you want to do. And Deepak's 75, 76 years old now. But when I was 15, 16, 17 years old, like what he was teaching, mind, body, health, is what I wanted to teach. And I was jealous. I didn't know any different. But today I'm kind of doing the same thing. But I just don't have a yoga spin on it. So that had nothing to do with anything that you needed to learn. So let's get back to the topic at hand. Back to the information at hand. This prefrontal cortex executive center is what many yogis will call the third eye. You've heard of the third eye before, I'm sure some of you have. This third eye sits right here. It's actually prefrontal cortex. This is where the prefrontal cortex, the third eye, has the vision center, right? And they'll sit and say, when you do enough breath and yoga and meditation, you open it up and you open up the third eye. Have you heard that before? Yes. How many people have been able to do that? Please put up your hands. Good. I love that. How many people can do it consistently? Thank you very much. That's the hard part, right? I'm not against yoga. I think there's lots of modalities of healing. I just wanted to create a process, a scientific process that I could do again and again and again and again, repetitively, that it's not arbitrary. I can take people who've gone through this, and when they heal this, they go from this root experience in here, and it goes through the brain to the executive center of the brain. Now, some of you, my doctors in the room, can say, but it's always connected. Yes, I know it is, but it's not always firing at the same level. Okay? So it is connected, but it's not firing. When you function from the amygdala, you come from the state of fight or flight. When you function from the prefrontal cortex, You come from the dorsal parasympathetic. That's the part of your nervous system that's actually calm, grounded. That's a place where many people want to call abundance. That's a place where people want to sit and say, okay, I now see what I want to do. That's a calm, rational state. You ever been through something where it's like something triggered you? I'll give you an example. When I was going through my divorce, it was fun. Said nobody. But in that period, or you guys can probably tell, ever been in an argument or a fight with someone and you're just in it, you're in the thick of it, and you realize you're arguing and the words are coming out of your mouth, but you're not even thinking, right? Yes? Yes. That's because you're functioning from here. And your brain goes through a process of metacognition where it's looking up here and saying, you idiot, why did you say that? I don't, shit, this is going to hurt even more. Keep going. But stop. That's what happens. I get it. If me and my girlfriend get into an argument, sometimes I can get there. I'll be like super angry. I'm like, look, I'm really angry right now. I should stop talking because I'm really talking from this space right now. And I'm talking from the amygdala. So I need to get back to the prefrontal cortex. So let's not argue right now because I am just speaking irrationally right now. It's super sexy. I know what you guys are thinking. The makeup sex, let me tell you. All the science talk, it's amazing. But that's where you're irrational and you make poor judgments, poor decisions, angered judgments. That's you're in the sympathetic dominant state. Again, I'm not saying sympathetic is bad. You need sympathetic. But most of us today aren't living with the saber-toothed tiger walking in the door. Most of us are living in a state where the sympathetic is working because we're not fitting in and we're comparing our lives to other people. We're comparing what we do to others. We're comparing our life to other people, thinking that we should be. This is what we should have. This is what we should have done. This is what we should have created. And we're angry at ourselves. We're angry at the people around us, thinking that they should do something different or they should have done this. Why did you do this? I can't believe, Paula, you did that. I would have done this. And all these statements lead us to these points of anger and judgment. I've isolated basically these 7 levels of brain in where we think from. And I call them from have to, or need to have to should, to decide to want to choose to love to. I'm going to go through it again. What's that? There's a difference, though. There's a difference. So you go from need to have to should, to decide, to want to choose to love to. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 7 there? Yes. The lower that you start making decisions in your life, saying that I have to go to work. What state of life are you in? Inspiration or desperation? Desperation. Good. You guys are a smart crowd. I like it. After an hour and a half, you guys got this. Okay? If you say, I love to get up and do what I do. Inspiration. Do you feel like this has been work for me at all today? No, because I do this every day, all day, because I love to do it. You understand my point? Teaching and speaking is what I love to do. You guys have to go home. I could go all night. I don't have a flight till 7 a.m. Pat said, make sure you stop by 8:30, Dr. T. Some of these people really got to go to bed. I said, all right, fine. She's like, I know you can go till 2 a.m, but we can't do that tonight. But if someone has to live in these states, this side is going to be more sympathetic, and this side is going to be more parasympathetic. Can you see that? So in I should have drawn it this way, excuse me. Parasympathetic, this is going to be sympathetic, and this side is going to be more parasympathetic. Now, I'm not saying that people are going to be magically be able to do everything they love to do instantaneously. But you can build your life to create that, where you get to do what you love to do more often than not. You get to live your life that way. Because the thing that causes people the greatest amount of stress is the inability to have choice. Inability to have choice. And the reason you're stuck with choice is because you're stuck in the patterns of the past root experiences. I'll say it again so you gather. The reason you're stuck is because reason you don't have choice is because the inability to see what did I say exactly? Crap. The inability, the patterns, thank you. Inability to see the patterns of the root experiences of your life. Heal the root experiences, be able to do what you want with your life. It's the first step inside that. It's the path of process inside that. You need the raw materials inside of that, for sure. But then I said the body is the conduit of consciousness. You also have to have the ability to be able to create the life that you want to. With your husband, your wife, your relationships, the people, the wealth, every part of it. All of it comes together in order for you to be able to live a life of inspiration. Does that make sense? If you're going to have a life of mental longevity, you have to have a life that allows you to live doing what it is you love to do. Desperation will say, what's the point of living? Inspiration will say, I want to live and move on. We're humans. We're creatures of meaning. What that means is that we create meaning out of everything. And the greater the meaning, the greater the mission we have with our life, the more people we want to serve, the more people we want to make an impact to, rather than ourselves, the bigger we're going to play in the game. And the bigger we play in the game, the more mission you have, the more you go serve, the longer your lifespan. It's 100% correlation. 100% correlation. If you don't have a reason to live, not a reason, not a mission, not a drive to be of service to humanity, your mind and body break down and shut down. Anyone ever read the book, Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl? Talked about it all day long. And this is exactly what we need to realize. We've got to take our brains from the sympathetic state where we can't see ahead, we're depressed, we're anxious, we're sympathetic. We don't know what we're doing. We'd rather sleep and lay in bed because of our pride, our guilt, our shame, all of our emotions, and wake up to humility, to move ourselves to see the greatness that it is, so that we can see the love that exists in life, and love will be the healer that allows you to perform the life that you want. When you align yourself with love and the real love that exists, what will happen is your brain and mind will come together, and the universal mind, body, spirit will become one, and you'll be able to live your purpose, your mission, your reason of existence. You won't have judgments. You won't be worried about others' opinions. You'll do what it is you're designed to do, because that is why you are here. Man without mission will fall apart. We all need a mission in our life. We all need to create something. Your health is 100% needed inside of it. And I will say this, is that wealth is an important component of it. All of it. The physical capacity. We have to have all of that as well. Does that all make sense? 4 of you said yes. We know this. Gentlemen, 3 years after you stop working, not all, of course. I don't know what the exact stat. Do you know what the exact stat is? But they die, right? They die. We know this. Women live longer because they're happier without men. It's not true. Actually, it's not true. It's actually not true. You guys are like, oh my God, he's nonstop. The reason they do is because they have a higher value of family than men do. And family keeps them going longer. That's why. And the testosterone is part of the nervous system that is actually controlling your wealth, your money, and your finance. The estrogen part of your life is family and social and your health. So women are, look at the room. How many women are in this room versus men? Right? But that's why. That's the reason behind it. So look, I want to give you guys a gift. Is it okay if I give you a gift? A little bit? Would you like to know which one of these places in the brain you function from? Would you like to know if you live a life that you love to live, or one that you need to live, or that you should? How do you make your primary decisions, where you're stuck? Would you like to know what your brain function is inside that? Okay, I'm going to hand out a piece of paper. And this is my gift. There's nothing to this. I'm not selling you this. You don't got it. We're not going to lock in the doors. This is not an Amway meeting. Okay. I like Amway too. I love network marketers. I think they're amazing. But here's my gift. There's a QR code here. Okay. I want you to take a picture of the QR code. But after COVID, everyone knows how to use a QR code, right? take a picture, press it, and it'll go to a website. And on that website, I want you to go and answer the questions. And it's going to give you a breakdown of how your brain functions. It's going to tell you, do you live in a state that you need to live? Do you live in a state that you should live, should do? Do you live where you want to? Because an individual that's living in the sympathetic state, based on psychology, this is now going to create, hang on, before the buzz and the roll starts. Okay, I'm just going to give them a second. Okay. There's a direct correlation in how healthy you are to what psychological state you live your life. This is why I'm giving you this, okay? There's a direct correlation. If you find yourself in a should-to state, that means your primary decision-making process says, you know what, I should do this, I should do that. And you constantly are arguing between yourself and that head, that voice in your head. Oh man, I need to do this, but I really should do this. Oh, but I'm supposed to go do this, but I should do this. Oh my God. That's that voice in your head. None of you have it, I know. Or if you're a decide to state, and this will give you the breakdown inside this as well. Inside of it, decide to, you say, you know what, I'll decide to. And then in decide to, you actually have some choice. You actually have some choice, but here's what I found. People who live in the decide to state have the highest amount of pride. I know you guys are jumping on your papers and phones. I'm telling you to listen to me first. The people who live in the decide to state and the want to state are the ones with the highest amount of pride. The ones who live in the choose to state are the ones with the greatest blinders. Remember that? Because you think you've made it. You think you've got it figured out. You got some money in the bank. You got a job that's paying you, but you're not free. No. You're not free. You've got a little bit of money. You got a little bit of choice. You get to choose to what you want to do. You got to drive. You got to choose to be here tonight. Inside that, great. You got a little bit of choice. You live in that choice, but there's another level. And that's a state of gratitude. And that's a state of gratitude where that love and gratitude gets to live and exist. And you get to function and you get to create a life that you surround yourself with this energy of love and inspiration, and not in a woo-woo way, in a very tactical, practical way, right? I'm not talking about like ayahuasca crap. I'm talking about real, everyday life of love, where your relationship and your partner, you can be real and authentic, and you can have a little bit of an argument and disagreement and still be able to connect and still say, hey, look, and not harbor that resentment, where you could go to bed at night and actually sleep. The number one reason people can't sleep at night is because they're running the sympathetic nervous system. 100%. There's no question about it. And if you don't calm that nervous system, you can't heal. I'm telling you, every one of you in this room, if your nervous system is not calm, you are not healing. And your body is breaking down. If you don't recover in the parasympathetic part of your life, you are walking quickly to illness inside that. And I'm not trying to scare you, but my point here is to tell you the truth about what it is. You must get sleep. If you're interested, look at these supplements. This is the best sleep supplement I've ever seen. People jumping on calls saying this is the greatest sleep that they've gotten. Try it out for yourself. I will tell you, try it out for yourself. If you don't like it, don't use it again. I don't really care. But I'm telling you, I've studied this stuff and I sleep like a rock. My dad said to me, he's 72 years old. He's like, oh, look, I don't sleep. I don't need any. I'm like, Dad, take 2 of these. And he says, Dad, he said, I'm not going to do anything. I said, just take it. And he'll sleep 4 or 5 hours a night. He's like, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm 70 years old. I'm like, I'm not talking about your prostate. Just go to bed, right? So as a father does, he goes to bed 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. I get up in the morning about 7. I get up and I'm like, how was it? He's like, I don't know. Like, what time did you wake up? 6 o'clock. I'm like, what do you mean? You slept all night? He goes, yeah, but I had to get up to go pee. I'm like, that's your prostate, not your sleep. He said, oh, okay. So he took it again the next night. He went to bed from 10 to 6. I'll tell you what, whether anyone else takes these supplements or not, I'm grateful that I'm able to help my father's healing with his sleep. Because do you think my father's going to sit and rewire his brain? Never a prophet in your own home? Never a prophet in your own home. My dad would come up here and tell you, look, you do it this way. I'm like, Dad, calm down. But the reality is that he's now getting sleep. And I know that he's sleeping and he's adding years to his life. If you choose to take control of this, the mind, and take control of your body by getting oxygen, by getting exercise, by getting the right foods inside of it, by getting the right system, getting the mitochondria functioning correctly, you can live a life connected and have true mental longevity. But it's not going to be just this. It's going to be this and this. It's going to connect inside of that. Does that make sense? You can't have one without the other, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope that that's what you walked away with tonight. I hope you take that and realize that that is the most important component, is that you are a whole being. Your wealth, all of you, is going to determine your mental longevity. It's not one little piece. It's the whole thing. And you got to master all of it. That's the name of the game. So thank you guys for being here tonight. I appreciate you so much.
Awesome. Give it up for Dr. T, everybody. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for
So I wanted
jumping
to
on
leave the
virtually
floor
with
for some
us.
questions. I'm sure there's some questions. If I can just say a couple of things before people run out of here and things like that. In this sheet, and those of you at home, they'll put the link in there for you as well. This QR code, do the quiz for yourself, okay? Some of you are going to be more apt to learning more about where your brain functions and want to know more. At the end of it, it says book a call with one of my coaches, okay? And I do it for your own information. Find out where your blocks are. Find out where your story is. Find out what's stopping you from living what you want to. Does that make sense? Find out your why not. That's what they're designed to do. They're sitting there saying, okay, let me help you find out your why not. They'll look at the roadblocks, the emotions, everything inside of it, and then they'll give you a specific plan for you. If you want to do something with it, great. If you don't, no sweat. But here's the thing I want you to gather. Information is power. You have to have information. My whole mission in my life, since I was 7 years old, was to help people heal their life. And if I can help people's brains and minds heal at 91 years old, 92 years old, I don't care how old you are. If your brain is alive, if you're alive, you can heal. I guarantee you. If you're alive, you can heal. I don't care if you're 60, you're 70, say, oh, I don't know it for me. Bullshit. You can heal. Heal this, then let's get this in the right space, and then live the life that you were designed to live. Why your mission is here, what your purpose is, what your God-given gift is, whatever you want, whatever name you want to call it, however you want to do it. Go make your life mean something for yourself. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that what it's all about? When you look back at it, you want to look back at the meaning that you did, the impact that you made, and the people that's lives you touched. I think that's the most important thing. So that's what I hope that you walk away with tonight. So thank you guys with that. So I also want to say this. Some of you are interested in learning more. How many people would like to learn more in an education capacity with me and learn more about wealth and money and growth in that capacity? A couple of you? Okay. If you are interested in learning about that, you can talk to Pat or Lula. And next weekend, is it next weekend? It's next weekend, right? Next weekend, I'm doing a 3-day seminar called Wired for Wealth. And it's designed to find out your financial roadblocks. It's designed to help you navigate what's going on with your money, where your blocks are with your money, why you're investing poorly, why you've lost money, all these different things to help take those things and rewire them. Because I have seen again in my life is that those who have financial challenges have health challenges. There's just 100% correlation inside that. A friend of mine's a cardiologist. One of my dear friends is a cardiologist. And I asked him, what's the 3 reasons people come into your office? And he said, number 1 reason people come into my office is because they wish they saved more, or they don't have enough money to live the life that they want to, and they're angry at themselves for. Number 1 reason, they go to a cardiologist. Number 2 reason, they have family problems, and their family doesn't connect. And number 3, is he said that people wish they did what they wanted to do with their life, and they go back and regret because the life went by and they didn't do what they actually wanted. So don't let that happen is my point. That's what I'm trying to say to you. Live your life so that you can actually look back and say, I did everything I could with everything I was given to live the life that I wanted. So I'll leave that with you. Thank you guys. And I'll open the floor to any questions you guys have.
Hey, Virtual, they're going to take some questions.
tell me
You
your
guys
name so I know
stick
who you are.
around, and then we'll be able to listen in and
Yeah,
do
thanks.
that. So stick around. We'll hear some
Hey,
Q&A.
Dwayne's my name.
What's up, Dwayne?
Hey, there was a point where you said senescent.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Senescent it's a correlation. It's a term that means idle. So when I was making the analogy that we live quiet lives of desperation, that's in essence a senescent human being. A senescent cell is a cell in the body that's not growing, duplicating, going through mitosis, and it's not dying or breaking apart. It's just kind of existing. And what the parallel I'm making, excuse me, is that most people are living quiet lives of desperation like senescent human beings. That's the parallel I'm making. Any other questions? Please.
I think a lot of times we get stuck in this timeline. This is the perfect page to be on, where we know that we've been in that needy to desperation to want to choose to love. And I know everyone can have a different timeline for that. But then when you get kind of stuck in the space of almost judging your timeline or patience, like what's a good, healthy kind of guide in that space? And maybe that's something you do with one of your coaches or something. But I would just like to hear your process of that piece of that patience, or to track yourself on where you're moving along through that timeline.
So here's all in my work, like we have programs, we have courses, we have things like that, like that we do, right? And many of you are here, are in that. Pat's a part of that, Lula's a part of that, Brad, Lindsay, Polly, Lynette, some of these people are in it. And it's my objective to take people wherever they are in the scale to love to within a year. And I'm 90% accurate. 90% of the time I do it within a year, right? Lori's in it as well, inside that. 90% of the time I can take people there. Here's the reason why. Most people, every other modality, and I can't speak for every modality that exists because I don't know every modality that exists. The modalities that I've seen, what they do, they don't heal a part of the body. What they do is they make you sit and say, okay, I put it away, but I never healed it. I blocked it. I put it in a different corner, right? From NLP to EMDR to all these different modalities. And they're great. I'm not saying anything against any one of them. They help people. Mine is different. What I do is different because I'm taking it and I'm healing it so that it doesn't need to come back. Once it's done, it's done. It's permanent. That lady who was raped we're talking about, done. That story doesn't come back. It's over. It's finished. Whereas many people, all that comes back later on in point. So you got to go back and do things again. So if people do the work that, and then they want it at a higher speed, right? A year to take wherever you are in this, inside this. Some may be more stubborn and I have to like beat them through a little bit more, Brad. I'm just saying, but but here's the thing that I also want you to realize. I get that question because most people think, you know, I want to take my path, my journey, my time inside that. And I want to do it my way. Great, do it your way. That there's no problem. I just wanted to create a journey for us that we can be scientific, and here's the map to it. And then if you have the tools, you can navigate your life. And I didn't do this for people. I didn't do this as a business. I didn't do this for humanity. I didn't like it. It was none of that. Yes, this is what I wanted to do. I did this for my kids because I was in such a deep, dark place. I was going around speaking to people about, you know, success and money and all this shit that was out there. But you'd go backstage with these guys and Julie, like they're telling you all this crap. And I'd say neurologically, what you're saying is not working. Like what you're saying is not going to work. I know this. I'm a doctor. I figured this out. Like, they're like, well, you just mind your own business. Do what you want to do. And I'm like, but that's not going to help people. I'm more committed to helping people. Because Pat and Lula didn't pay me to come out here. I came out here because they said, look, we'll put 100 people in a room. You come out here. And I paid my own dime to get out here. Is that a true statement? I paid my own dime to get out here because if I can help people and wake up, sure, on the back end, will people do business, things like that? Great. I hope they do. And I hope that's in fair exchange, that people make money and they live a better life because of it. And I'm happy to do that. But I believe that if you give people a fighting chance, the truth behind it, let them win. And a lot of people don't. And I don't know, I'm more committed to that than anybody I know. But don't get me wrong, like the shiny objects are always more sexy. But it's not the shiny objects that help us heal. As humans, we need to heal. If you want to make more money, you got to heal. Like everybody you could talk to, and you've seen them, you were there, and you've seen people heal, and you've seen people go through stories, you've seen, and people's income goes up, their life goes up, their vitality goes up, cholesterol's drop, their blood, like we have a guy right now, Mark, he's a super successful business guy. But he's a thick-headed, I know it all, ego-based kind of guy. Anyone know anyone like, right? Yeah. And he came into my world and I said, look, dude, I said, you may be right in your world now, but in this world, I know my shit. You can't change this. So he took his blood work. His cholesterol was skyrocketed. His blood pressure was skyrocketed. All his numbers are skyrocketed. He did his blood work just 2 weeks ago. His health is better. He has an autoimmune disorder on top of that as well. And his doctor's like, I don't know what the hell you're doing, but your autoimmune disorder is gone. Your cholesterol's gone. He's lost 30 pounds. And it's not like he's gone out and done anything different because we're a neuroendocrine system. And so that's all changed. And his whole system has now gone from this chaos of going towards death now to actually feeling vital in life again. If we do that, then imagine what we can do. Imagine what you could do when you're healthy and living life and not living conversation. So I don't know, I went on a tangent in there, but I hope I answered your question.
Can obviously happen, but I think it was just good to hear you say, yeah, within a year, that's a good timeline to just kind of put in the bank.
Yeah, it is. Look, and my objective, I know how to do this, right? And I don't mean that out of my ego. I know how to do this. I can take any person, any scenario, any situation, and rewire the hell out of it. And you've seen me do it, right? These people in the room, just talk to them. They've seen me do anything. And some of you experienced it, but I don't want it so that I only can do it. I want to teach you, and I want to teach you, and I want to teach you, and I want to teach you so that you do it for yourself. Because I want you to be able to heal your life, not need me independency. That's not doctrine. That's not helping, right? How many people can I get to as one individual, like make one-on-one appointments? Never. It's impossible. I want to teach people to sit and say, look, I've got the tools. I've got 92 different ways to be able to help you rewire your thinking so that you can rewire it, put it together, map it all out. And whatever happens in your life, you can handle it no matter what. That is what I wanted for my children. Because for me, being a dad is not about what school they go to or anything for me, or what they eat. Well, it is kind of what they eat, but because I'm a nutrition guy too, but it's really about after I'm gone, did I give them the tools to think to master their life? That's how I think about being a dad and being a father. And I'll tell you what, like my work is their platform to do whatever they want with it. My daughter's going to take it. She's going to bring it more clinical. She's going to take it to the world. I'm not a clinical guy. She's going to put research to it and say, bring the validity. I'm just like, I just want to help people heal. I don't know. I need evidence. Oh, fuck your evidence. I just want, give me a person. Give me evidence. Give me a person. Bring a person in front of me. Let me heal them. That's evidence. That's how I think of it. So if I swear a little bit, please, I hope it doesn't offend you. I'm just real. I like you, man. Amanda told me, she said, look, you shouldn't swear tomorrow night. So I'll do my best. I only did it once. I like twice. It's calm down. You're gonna go text Amanda. Look, he swore 4 times tonight. Any other questions? I'm happy to answer anything for you. Please. It's just for the people at home. as well.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So then we're gonna go and we're gonna scan this QR code, and this is the way to learn about the modality that you use?
Yeah.
I thought this whole thing was you teaching us the modality that you use. And I was waiting all night for that. But I appreciate that you're here, so I'm very excited. But
It's
this,
a lot more than what I showed
well,
you
yeah,
was the principles behind it.
no, I understand that. But I was like, all right, we got 30 minutes, guys.
Are you guys together? Brother, okay, cool. I love him too. It's a lot of expectations you're placing on me.
I'm fine.
No, there's much more in the process because when you look at how you do it, it goes into neurochemistry, biochemistry, inside all that. But the premise of what we're talking about, why, is exactly what we have to heal those root experiences inside that. And the premise of balancing the nervous system. You may sit and say, you don't want to balance it a different way. I want to try a different way to balance it. But great. However you want to balance it. But for everyone to heal internally. HEAL is an acronym that I use that just stands for helping energy align with love. Energy align with love. That's all it means to me. So I'm not curing anything. I'm not, right? You were in the room, your diabetes went completely different direction. I've had type 1 diabetics in my room. Type 1 diabetes, is that supposed to be able to be healed? Nope. How many people saw me reverse type 1 diabetes? Yeah, the people in the room. Because if we go find out where this whole process of this happens, where it starts, then we can find the path to chronic conditions. And in my experience, 99.9%, it's psychological. Shoot.
Person doesn't know their block. How do you help them find their block?
There's questioning. I have to figure out what it is.
Okay, because you talked about the lady who was raped. That was easy to find their block. What if you can't find a block or
Everybody
a specific
has-
block?
Everybody has root experiences, right? Everybody has them, no matter what. And if you dig down, drill down, if we do the processes inside of it, I'll find them. We'll find exactly, because you'll tell me what do you really want? Where are you stuck? What is it you really want to do? And even if you love life, there's things that you want to do more of or less of. All these things, we have these things. I'd jump on a call, seriously. What's your name?
Scott.
Scott. I'd jump on a call and let him go through, and then let Alex, talk to Alex, make sure we get on Alex's schedule, and let him find your blocks. You'll see it. He'll break it down for you.
All right.
Yeah, he'll help you clarify that. Sure.
So
Sounds like it, let me tell you. Son,
he would agree. So I'm just wondering, like, do you teach the process so that we can keep going and going and going?
Lynette, why don't you answer that rather than me answer that? Lynette is one of my students for the last 2 years. Let's give it up for Lynette. All right.
Thank you. So I've been in your program since April of last year. Wow, can you believe that? So there's many layers, as I say. I'm like an onion. We all are, and I have many blocks. I had some had a huge one. Sorry, the reason I cry is because of the gratitude. I had a huge block. 44 minutes. That's how much in pride I was. Couldn't see myself. I'm not like that. I don't do that. But once I cleared that huge block that I wouldn't even look at before that, I see little things. I see things that, oh, that's stopping me. This is stopping me. That stops me. Oh, why am I stuck there? Why do I get triggered by my partner? Why did I get triggered today about my partner? Right? Oh, I'm just like you, mirror neurons, damn, right? But I see that now because of the process being in here 18 months. So yes, it is a process. I become who I am. I see who I am. I see my value and I see who I am through working this process.
But at the same token, you're correct, but just to answer Julianne's question, you know how to do it for yourself.
I know how to do it myself. And I'm sorry, I
To
didn't
some
say
degree,
that.
not
but
to my degree, but
yes.
to your degree.
Yeah. So me working the process, I like today got triggered. Oh, I know what to do with that.
Correct. That's
help?
power. You see my point? That's power. That she doesn't need to call and say, I need to get Dr. T on the phone. If I don't talk to him, how am I going to navigate this? Oh my God, shit, I got to go get some Prozac. You see my point? Where she can sit down and say, I got it. I figured it out. Let me work this out for myself.
So then I got told about your 3-day event.
Sure.
And kind of like the same thing of, oh, this is going to be just give me 30 minutes. I can get this done. And I'm very thankful I took that 3 days off, dedicated.
Did you come to
it.
Total Rewire?
Huh? Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I survived. And
Survived.
well, and I also got all my medical stuff back, and it's exactly what you said.
I'm sorry?
Blood pressure's down, all the other stuff's going on. So now the next level of that is where we're going.
I love that. I love that. These programs are designed to help you heal. That's what it is. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate that, right? There's a question in the back. There's the lady in the back.
You'll have to excuse me because I came in a little bit late,
Sure.
so I didn't quite get the type of program that you teach. I'm assuming it also helps with past traumas, according to the lady's story that you told. My question is, what is the difference in the therapy and the techniques that you use what's the difference between what you teach and have you heard of EMDR?
EMDR, we
I'm
were talking
just
about that earlier.
curious.
So I'll just speak at it from a general perspective rather than EMDR and their tapping and all these modalities are great. They help people heal. I wouldn't say heal. They help people slowly remove the process. My process is more of an anti-therapy approach where I'm literally going to the point of where things started and creating different myelination pathways around it. Through questioning, through cognitive behavior therapy inside of that, rewiring it. And I'm actually using, if people don't know this, well, hopefully they'll come out in the next 10 years, but as you have neurons right now in your brain, you actually have anti-neurons in the brain. If you look at an article on September 11th, 2016, Scientific American proved this. And we've been saying this for a long time. As we create neurons and neuronal pathways, we have to have the exact opposite also be creating. And we've noticed, and they've said that we have anti-neurons and anti-memory patterns that are created. So what I'm doing is I'm using that plus quantum physics to help the body heal. So that's a very general overview of it, what it is. But they're all modalities are great. I'm not saying this is just what I do is different. That's all I'm saying. Polly? Mm-hmm. It's a good question. It depends on what you can do. It depends on what you want to do. You know, for me, I like doing 10, right? I do 10 in the morning, 10 sequences like that. If you do 5, great, do 5. If you can do 3, start with 3 and move up to 4 to 5. Here's the thing, what I want you to do is I want you to be able to challenge yourself to continue to do more, right? Because I didn't talk about this, but there's something in the body called hormesis. Hormesis is giving the body more stress and growing inside of it. Most of us think it's too easy. We just allow the body to be complacent. So challenge yourself to do more. If you can start with 3, do 3. Did you feel a little bit warmed up and light with that? Great. So for this week, I would do 3. And then move yourself to maybe 4. And then move yourself if you wanted to go to 5. But do what you're gonna do consistently.
Breath as you do that.
You don't need to. Well, you can go up to 30 seconds, but you don't need to go longer. You can if you want to.
Okay.
But I go 30 seconds inside.
Okay.
But I would tell you that whatever health habit, let's call it, you're going to take one on that you do and you do it consistently. Not one that's like, oh, I'm going to do all of this today, and by next week you fall apart, right? That is not the objective. Take what we call the micro wins for macro life. So take a micro win, take one step, and then take another step, and then take another step. So if 3 is all you're going to do this week, that's all you're going to do. Great, congratulations, I'm behind you. You got it, okay? And then if you say, you know what, next week I'm going to do 3, and I'm going to go for a walk, fuck yes, let's go. Excuse me, shit, that's 4 times. Damn. Okay. Amanda, I love you. She's watching me right now. She's right now watching me. I know you are. She is right there. But if next week it's that you're going to walk, then go walk, right? Then it's like, oh, it's going to walk. And then the week after that, let's say, you know what, I'm going to be bold and I'm going to start lifting some weights and lift some weights. I want to say this to you all before, because if I don't say this, I'd be remiss. What is the most important exercise you could do? I'm hearing it. Weights, resistance training. I don't care how old you are, resistance training. You do resistance training, you will, I can't say you'll reverse it, but you will significantly change your blood sugar levels and your diabetes pre-diabetes numbers. Because look, in a room like this, if we sit and say that 40% of Americans do, if I cut the room in half, I'd sit and say this side would have diabetes inside there, or pre-diabetes. Not to say that you all do, of course, I'm just using a percentage inside that. Just do resistance training. Because your resistance training is what takes your muscles. Sugars go into muscles. So if you don't use those muscles, you don't use that strength, that sugar stays in your bloodstream inside that. So please make sure you're doing resistance training. So I want to make sure I say that because I say that every talk and I didn't talk about it. Does that help? So then let's say you do resistance training. I could do this all night, Polly. So then after that, you sit and say, you know what? I'm going to focus on my sleep. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to get sleep and I'm going to focus on it. Just take one thing and improve upon that, but make it consistent. Does that make sense? So good question. Gonna say yes. Because what is the subconscious? Here's why I don't like the term subconscious. Why do you use that term? Where did you use that term? Great. I agree with you. But most people confuse the subconscious, as Freud called it, because subconscious, the term consciousness, right? As my uncle Deepak says, the consciousness, right, is everywhere. Because consciousness is thought, it's light, it's existence. So consciousness is always being. Subconscious, how can we have consciousness be everywhere and then sub meaning less than conscious? It's an oxymoron in the statement, right? It doesn't make any sense because you wouldn't exist, you wouldn't keep it from your conscious if it didn't serve you. So you consciously are keeping it latent from your awareness. That's not the block, that's just latent in your awareness. Here's why. Because you're going to respond in your nervous system, whether you choose to or not to, consciously or unconsciously, not subconsciously, unconsciously, you're going to be triggered by certain people. How many people, when I say, fuck, you get triggered? Good, thank you. I'm glad. I did it intentionally. I do it every program intentionally because it's to charge you. Because most people, the 91-year-old lady I'm telling you about, she's like, I had all these beliefs on this word, right? But we make up the meaning of this stuff. And I'm challenging people to open their paradigm of what thought is. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, good or bad. I'm just challenging. So if I create a trigger inside of you, it's not me that's the trigger. It's you in your past that's the trigger. You see my point? So I'm not here to be right or wrong, good or bad. I'm here to charge you and create triggers and pull them up for you so you have something to heal inside of you. So you can't tell me you don't know what doesn't bother you because you just said fuck pisses you off, right? So the reality is that if we look at it from a latent awareness, yes, intuition is different than your gut response inside of it. Intuition is trying to bring balance. Gut response is responding from the fear of the past. And so people have confused over time the gut response as subconscious. That's why I'm saying yes, and I'm explaining myself inside. Does that make sense? Correct. The enteric brain. I was going to go into all that today, but I chose not to. But yes. Yeah. And it's the enteric brain, it's the fear brain that people are working inside that. So I'm saying yes to you, but there's more to it is what I'm trying to say. Absolutely. Love to. One more question or am I done? I'm getting the mic here. So Lula's going to kick me off stage or Pat kick me off stage? One more.
So I won't yell then. I went through a traumatic experience about a little over 4 years ago, lasted quite a while. And since then I've had like really bad memory loss, not necessarily about the event, just on the daily.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Cortisol is high. When cortisol is high, you lose memory, conscious memory, right? It's a defensive mechanism. It's a defensive mechanism trying to prevent you from coming back when those memories come back. It's normal. Here's the thing what I'll tell you about the human body. It's not disease. The disease is the cure. If you understand why the disease, the illness shows up, then you understand why did that present itself. Like I got online, anyone on TikTok? Some of you are on TikTok. So I'm not doing that great on TikTok, I'll be honest with you. I started, we did well, and I did this video and it got taken out of context where I said, diabetes is not a disease. Some of you saw that, right? I said that I got like 2 million views on it. I also got like 2 million hate threats because of it too. But it's not a disease. It's a normal condition if we have too much sugar in our bloodstream. How is type 1 diabetes diagnosed? Fasting blood glucose as well as A1Cs. That's how they diagnose it. And what's that looking at? Glucose. So how am I freaking wrong? If you have too much sugar in the system, then you can talk to me about your beta cells and your pancreatic cells. I'd gladly have those conversations all the day long with you. I'm not an idiot. I know what I'm talking about. But when you look at it and they label you as diabetic, what are they looking at? Sugars. Bottom line. So therefore, if I'm saying that there's too much sugar in the body, why is that? Is that sugar too high because you're actually eating yo-yos and Twinkies all day long? Or, please listen to what I'm about to say, or did you have a traumatic root experience that puts your body in a catabolic state where your sympathetic is high and the muscles are dumping sugars into the blood all the time as a protective mechanism? That's why I can take people in this room who are diabetic, bam, reversed. Not healed, reversed. You don't like me right now, that's okay. Yeah, we're going to change that. Then we're going to change that. Because you don't have to live there, right? If you're getting told you're pre-diabetic, there's no reason this lady should be diabetic if you look at her figure and her body type. But why is it? I guarantee you it's psychosomatic. I guarantee it. All I'm saying, I'm not against medicine. I'm just saying if you heal your life, then you don't have to live there. That's all I'm trying to say today. Does that make sense, everybody? You take charge of it for yourself. When you take charge of your life, you do what you want to do with your life. You understand why the body does what it does. You take charge, heal it for yourself. Then you don't live in a world where any doctor can tell you this is what you need to do or else you're going to die. Fuck you. I'm going to live. Because they can't tell you that. If you understand it and you understand how to heal yourself, you're the doctor. Take charge of your life. Take charge of your thinking. Take charge of your diet. Take charge of your exercise. All these things, and you can live the life that you're inspired to live and make a difference in the world. And because of that, you're not now disempowered to a medical doctor, an acupuncturist, a naturopath, anybody. I'm not going after medicine. I'm going after anybody. You can take control of it. You can take control of it. I know if I ever have an issue, I'll randomly look at blood pressure. What's that? Good. If it goes high, let's go find the stress. I'll go up. 122 over 81. Let's go find the stress. Cleared. I'll go back and check it. 115, 116 over 70. Good. How about that control that you can take on your life? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I hope you walk away with tonight. I hope you walk away with empowerment. I hope you walk away with the ability to make decisions in your life, choose your life, live your life. Because I think whatever you believe in, whatever your source, whatever your entity, I believe that we're all here to make a difference in the world. And how you choose to do it is going to matter. And I think that if you allow yourself to be who you are, who you're designed to be, you, your maker, and your family will all be much more congruent, because I think love is all there is. The rest is bullshit. Thank you guys so much.
Great job. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Thank you, Dr. T. I know they're on stage and everything and finishing everything in Boise. Before you guys run, I would love to hear from some of you guys. I'd love to hear some takeaways that you might have had from this mental longevity talk we've heard from tonight. So you guys can either raise your virtual Zoom hand or just raise your hand. I can see most of you and be able to hear from you, because you guys, 2 hours with Dr. T on this has been amazing. I have a ton of notes here. So raise your hand if you'd like to share. I know one of the things I really liked was how he talked about the sympathetic nervous system keeping us up at night. I don't know about you guys. I definitely am one of those. I saw like Susan's like, yep, that's me too, where my brain keeps going and I wake up sometimes and it's like my heart never was always racing. And it's because I'm constantly unsympathetic when I get stressed out, with someone, when you get a lot on the plate, right? So I think that's so helpful to hear and be able to see it. And I think that's really amazing. I'm going to call on some of you guys. You've been really amazing in the chat box. I just want to hear one takeaway that you got today. Susan, I'm coming to you first. Chantal, I'm coming to you next. I'd love to hear from you. And then Christina, I'm coming to you. So Susan, let me ask you to unmute real quick. Give me one takeaway from the last 2 hours that you just heard from Dr. T.
Oh my God, just one?
Just one.
Take charge of your life. And I want to live and healthy and wealthy, and wealthy is the big word. That's the one that I got. And I am so excited. I'm signed up for so many things. He's come into my life just recently, and amazing.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
The mind blown thing, we love to call those T-by-4s in this world, because it's like getting hit by a 2x4, but Trivedi style. So it's like a T-by-4. You'll see
I've never understood it. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah. You're like, I've had a lot of those. So thank you, Susan, so much. Give her a round of applause. That's amazing. You charge your life. Yes. Chantal, I'm coming to you next. Then I'll hit Christina and Sophia. Awesome, Chantal. Thanks for being here.
Hi, well, one takeaway, I would say hope. Hope, just because like I'm following what he says, I'm not learning much. Like I know what he says is true. I've invested so much money in trying to heal my body with the best of the best. And I know it comes from a root cause, and I don't have diabetes. I have hypoglycemia, and and so now I'm thinking, like, how could he do it so quickly? What is in his technique? I'm guessing that's gonna, well, anyway, the word is hope. So I'm sorry I cannot attend the whole weekend, but I'll be spending as many hours as I can. Will there be a replay?
For next weekend, for this tonight, we'll send a replay of this one. Next weekend at Wired for Wealth, the 3-day event. We don't do replays because we like to treat it as much like a real live event as possible. But be there as much as you can. If you have to step out, we totally understand. But be there just as much as you can.
And the Rewire for Score or Rewire Score, this is a test. Like I just went to see, it's a quiz we do.
Yep, do the quiz online so you can find out your score. And then at the end of it, it will have a button so you can book a call with the team and they can dive further in with you. But that way you kind of know where you're starting at.
Okay, so if I already booked a call because I don't remember which evening I bought something, and I booked a discovery call for 15 minutes, is that another team? Is this something else? Or?
Same team, but that's just to get you started in that program, to really dive into, that's more like an onboarding call. But I would schedule this other one. It's about 45 minutes so they can really dive in with you.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm very impressed.
Coaches. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chantal, for being here. And Hope, I love that. That's exactly something I think that we've really tried to get across for people, that there is a change. There is something that you can do to make those shifts. And for me, I know that was huge. It was a very unbelievable thing as Dr. T, working with him now 15 years. And when he first started rewiring people, I was like, I don't understand what he's doing. He'd take people in for like a consult back then, and he'd do a consult and they come out sometimes crying, but like happy tears. And I'm like, what are you doing in there? Like, I didn't get it. And then he rewired me, and I was able to rewire an eating disorder I had for 7 years in less than an hour with him. And that, from that moment on, I was like, I get it now. And it's still hard to explain.
Wait. You were able to rewire eating disorders in an hour?
Yeah. I'm slow. Most of the people on this call that have rewired something is probably under 30 minutes. I think I was slow back then because I was like 45 minutes. But yeah, the amazing things that we've seen him over the years do with people.
And does it, when you say book a call, like his team can do that as well, or?
Team doesn't do the rewiring. Dr. T does that. He's an expert in the actual rewiring, but we do have different programs and processes where, and I think one of the ones that you're in, there's tools that you start that rewire process. The one I'm talking about is more of like an open heart surgery moment where he's like diving in with people. We call those like a laser session. He does actually, I shouldn't tell you guys now, he's probably going to be doing it next week with some people at the event. So on one of the nights. So I would definitely make sure if you're there to be able to stick around for that part, because that is super cool to watch when he does it live with people. Yeah, so you're gonna love it, Chantal. It's really amazing to see. But just take one step at a time. Do the rewire score, book a call, talk to someone on the team, probably Bree or Deb or Alex, some of the coaches. They'll jump on and help you really find those root experiences that are holding you back, and see maybe how or where we can help you with it.
Because I've looked for them, like, trust me, I've looked for them. And I'm a coach, I'm coaching people. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, everything is saying, like, about the negative emotion, like, deemed the negative, like, people are trying to suppress them. And I'm like so impressed. I'm very anxious to see that. Like, I'm all enjoyed. I'm very, hope is really the best word I could find.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Amanda.
Oh, you're welcome, Chantal. Thank you so much. Kristen, I see we'll get the right link in there. It's drrewirehealth.com. And if that one's not working, I'll post something new in just a second. I see, Sophia, you have your hand raised. I'd love to hear a takeaway from you. I'm going to ask you to mute real quick. There we go. And let us know a takeaway.
Hi, that was a really great webinar. I've been sort of resistant to the whole Wim Hof thing because I figured it's going to take lots and lots of effort. So it was so nice to see an example of a really quick breathing technique that I think I can incorporate easily. So I appreciated that. And I just want to ask, how do we learn the technique? Is there a different course offering for that?
For Wim Hof, you can actually.
No, not Wim. No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
Dr.
So Wim
Trivedi.
Hof, just go on YouTube.
No, for Dr. Trivedi.
For Dr. Trivedi, we'll post the links in there. Des, can you post the links? So next weekend, this is odd. For a 2-hour thing, Dr. T threw out a bunch of different opportunities for people, but I think he wanted to meet people where they were. He let people know about their supplement line. I know Kristen's talking about that in the chat. You can do your Rewire score. It's like a quiz online. You just answer some questions. He'll give you the score. You can book a call. Chantel and I were just talking about that. But the 3-day event we have is next week on October 14th, 15th, and 16th. Virtually.
Yeah, I signed up for that.
Awesome.
So,
yeah.
So is that teaching us how to rewire for wealth? But
Yes.
I'm interested in learning how to do the whole rewiring process.
Yes. So we don't necessarily teach this is how you do it to other people. That's not what the program is. It's how to do it for yourself. So it's very workshop style. We'll give you guys a digital manual like next week, so you guys can download that and go along. And there's gonna be exercises each day that you're going through and working through. And while you're doing those exercises, you're actually rewiring. It's some of his tools for it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really amazing. And it's actually brand new. He's never done this program before. I'm really excited about it because I get the sneak peek of the manual and the content with it that he's going to be covering. But we're going to be focusing more on wealth and business and development. Even if you're not in business, trust me, you will learn so much. So either way, I still recommend being there because I think a lot of people always have that itch to do something on the side.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Sophia. Thank you so much for being here. I just want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I know it's a very last minute thing. This was only going to be in person out in Boise, Idaho. And they had, I think, like 100 people there. And then on Monday or Tuesday, I think it was, in one of our meetings, where Dr. T's like, gonna make it hybrid. And the team was like, that's a lot of equipment to pack. We'll figure it out. And they got it all packed up, figured out last night, and shipped it out. So we sent some emails to you guys, and I'm so happy you were able to be on here tonight to hear it, because he's on fire when he's got an audience in front of him. And I hope you guys take the next step in the community, stay in the community in whatever way works best for you. We do monthly webinars with Dr. T you can jump on. We have 3-day events you can jump on. You can always do the Rewire Score, talk to a team, and they can always guide you in any of the processes that we have that would work best for you. But it's amazing just to be here with all of you tonight. So thank you so much again for being here. It's been a pleasure. And we'll, like Dr. T always ends, we'll see you at the next perfect time. Thank you.